I'm gonna call the meeting to order
Don't be
because it's a
nervous
little
'cause I
after
left it
6:30.
yesterday.
And, yeah, because you left me yesterday. You left us without a quorum.
I think we already left.
I know.
I was like,
Once
sorry.
you left, it was all over. So we always start off the meeting saying hello. So just because we're in a different place, bathrooms, if you go back to where you came in and where the first sign said down the hallway, if you take a left, go by the office, take your first right, the women's room is on the right, the men's room is through the door into the copy room on the left. There's a water fountain right out here for everybody. You ready to do your thing? The exits are
Right there.
right there, or you can go that way and back down to where we came in. And we're gonna start with introductions, so we will start with Dan MacArthur.
Dan MacArthur, Marlboro.
Randy Capitani, Dover.
Dwight Borum, Wordsboro.
John Everett, Consultant.
Rich Warner from Dover.
Selena Romo from Marlboro.
Lucy Gratwick, Marlboro.
Mike Murphy from Wardsboro.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Carol Ann Johnson from Marlboro.
Rachel Boyden from Marlboro.
Anita Raphael, PR.
Marco Tellini, Dover. I'm Bill Antone, the superintendent.
Tammy Bates, Wardsboro.
And the video guy, everybody wave to him. He doesn't talk. And then Chip, you wanna just introduce yourself?
Chip Vickery, late attendee.
So, oh, I forgot you. I'm sorry, Pete.
You can get a big one.
Oh.
Yeah, my back's not gonna last
So
for this
I
one.
want, I want to read something really quick before we start the meeting and put everything into perspective. So the school board recommends a tax rate of $2.30 on the grand list for current operating expenses and an additional sum towards capital expenses in keeping with the procedure of the past 2 years. In connection with Article 16 in last year's report, which asked for money to study the cost of combined elementary schools, Dover and Newfane voted yes and Townsend voted no, which eliminated the area study. And that's from the Dover Town Report from 1956. So anybody that thinks that this is new,
Wow.
I thought that was really
Did you
cool.
have too much time on your hands?
No, I was doing some research on all our town reports. Stephen,
Oh
John,
man, now we're in trouble.
the man, the myth, the legend.
I've been taking up your torch. I carry lots of bags into the room.
So, Stephen, we just did introductions, but I think everybody knows Stephen, so we won't make him introduce himself. Town moderator from Marlboro,
Right,
Yeah, there you go.
citizen.
citizen, after 35 or 40 or 50 years.
46.
Additions or deletions to the agenda, folks, anybody? Yes, sir.
I would like to make an addition that, I would like to make a proposal, and I sent it around to everybody via email, that we slow this process down, that we spend the time that is necessary on it. So I'm asking that there be an addition to the agenda to discuss, not trying to get these things approved tonight, but
So-
give us the time to do it.
How about if we put that right at the end of the work on the articles to see how far we get with the articles? Is that okay? Or would you like to do it before that?
It seems to me to be more appropriate before, because we wouldn't go charging into it with the view to trying to finish it, and then discuss afterwards whether it had made sense or not.
Okay, so why don't we add it, we'll add it just before work on articles.
Sounds good.
Okay, does anybody have a problem with that? Laura, you're right there. Anybody,
Our big chairs, Laura, if you'd like to take another one. Over here, the big chairs.
does anybody have a problem with that addition from the committee? Look at this, we have a full committee tonight too, don't we, Laura?
No,
Jill's
Jill's
not here.
missing.
Oh, Jill's not
Thank
coming? No. Okay, where's Jill? Oh. Okay, so while we're going through the,
If we could only pause for the approval of the minutes because my computer is still updating, so I
Okay.
can't make edits if I need to.
down for you.
Okay, either way.
Okay, so, can I get a motion to approve the minutes of the November 10th meeting?
I'll move.
Okay, Randy, do I have a second, please?
Second.
I'll give it to Dwight. Is there any discussion? You did a great 7
Okay,
minutes. And he's keeping it over there too. Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any abstentions? Okay. Public input. You folks are public.
That's where the gym is?
Huh?
It's not the gym, it's down the other end. The play,
The
the play is down in the art room. Yeah.
Okay.
Members of the public, Carol Ann, would you like to speak?
I have nothing.
Okay, does anybody have anything from public? Yes, ma'am. Just state your name again.
Rachel Boyden from Marlboro. And I don't know if this is the most current draft. I printed it out about 3 or 4 days ago.
They have dates on it, right?
Yes.
What's the date on it?
November 9th.
That would be it. That's after last meeting. Yes, that is the most
Okay.
current one.
Um,
Now, we are gonna go through a page.
Should I wait and just make comments as you go
If
page by
you
page?
want to, if
That-
it's,
That might be easier.
okay, if you don't mind,
I don't mind at all.
okay.
Okay. That's sort of what I was thought, but then you looked right at me. and-
No, we usually give the public a chance to speak first if there's something else. Anybody else from the public? Okay, communication update, ma'am?
Well, I continue to update the blog site, everything is current on that. On the emails, there were a few people who responded to the media desk email in addition to copying you on their comments regarding the draft. There were 1 or 2 suggestions that came in for names, people caught up with that request. There was, again, an article in this week's Commons, I don't know, you may have seen that, referred to work being done by both committees, and that was the article that was previously also posted on Vermont Digger. I haven't checked Vermont Digger to see if there's comments on there, I'll look at that and see if I can see what people are commenting on. So that is the latest. I am, again, asking you to be mindful of deadlines. I did get another notice in the Bucketville, just about the fact that the articles in draft form were available, so that will be coming out the first week of December. But the next big deadline is, again, December 15th. And that is the deadline for the Marlboro Mixer, and that's a 2-month edition. And then that is also the deadline for the Bucketville News, it's actually the 12th, and that is a 1-month edition. So again, it's not too soon to start looking at your dates, locations, for any public information sessions you wanna have based on those deadlines. And I'm also mindful all the time of the Deerfield Valley News deadline. It's not 1 week ahead, it's best if we know 2 weeks ahead, so that we can catch up with the issue when it comes out on Thursday. So those dates are the next most important thing to be aware of. And any feedback from any of you, I'd be happy to hear or know.
Okay,
We're good?
excellent job, look how good it is.
So far, so good.
Okay, so communication update, I'm going to go to Dan, and Dan has a, I don't know if it's an Dan wants us to bring up a topic of slowing down the movement of this committee.
Well, I sent this around to everybody, you should have gotten it, but basically the reasons are, that it's, you know, the amount of time that we allotted for public feedback turned out, in Marlboro anyway, to just be, we were completely overwhelmed. And I've made a synopsis of the comments that I've gotten back in, and I'm not sure to whom they were sent, but they were at least sent to me, and I gave them to Rich, and he made, I think, 5 copies of them. And I can forward them to everybody. I will do that, but even tonight when I was getting ready to come here, there were still more coming in. I was trying to get them added on there. So one is, we're just getting a lot of feedback. It doesn't feel like we're responding adequately to the public if we just go ahead and approve these things. It's a busy time of year, you know, people are going on vacation. Some people I can think of are already on vacation. Donna Russo-Savage was down in Wilmington the other week, and Laura was at that meeting, and Donna said to the people whose articles she was reviewing, you guys are just pushing way too fast on this here. At least she was quoted in the local papers as saying, take a deep breath and don't be rushing into this. I also feel that this group is beginning to understand each other and actually work well together, and now would be a good time for us to really get into some of the substance of educational matters if we're going to include them. You know, look at the work on the vision statement over the last week and where that could be if we don't rush into it. I think maybe the biggest reason that I'm proposing this is that I don't know, none of us know what the legislature's gonna do. It's such a wild card at this point, and it seems imprudent of anyone to be saying, well, we have decided on what it is we're gonna do in order that we can vote by next town meeting, and not being sure what will come out of the legislature. I would really feel like it would be prudent to see what the legislature does and incorporate that into whatever proposals we're putting forward. So I don't have a specific date. I don't know that there needs to be one. I guess I would say something like 3 months. Give us through the legislature to approve the articles and then call for a special town meeting in June or something like that. That's my thoughts.
Okay, so I want to just do some ground rules real quick. I meant to do them earlier. We are a bigger board, usually we're a board of 3 to 5. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna follow a little closer Robert's rules. So you need to be recognized, you've got the floor until you're done, and you tell me you're done. The board will get the first option. If there's comments from the public, we'll go to them second. You get to speak once on this topic until everybody else has spoken, and then if you want, we'll go a second time, and then that'll usually end discussion. Usually you get 2 times. So just to make it a little bit more consistent. So Randy, you were shooting your hand up first.
First off, just some multiple technical questions. Does the vote for this side of the side-by-side have to take place on the same day as the vote on the Leland and Gray side? Does it?
It doesn't have to, does it?
I don't know. I'm asking.
I don't believe it does.
Answer? I don't wanna
No.
violate your rules, sir.
No. I mean, that's-
Use up my one talking time.
No, you get multiple talking times. You're not on the committee.
It doesn't have to, I asked Donna that question, and it doesn't have to be by law. The problem is, because you're dependent on each other for forming a side-by-side, if you're not, things could really get out of whack.
So ideally, that's what we should strive for.
Even more than ideally, I think you could be setting yourself up for a lot of difficulties. I mean, I can go through it a little bit more.
No, just in general.
And then Randy, I don't know if you remember when we actually looked at the Whitingham, Wilmington, Dover combination about 20 years ago. So we were looking at, I don't know if anybody remembers this. You do, Carol. Yeah, Steven does. Wilmington, Whitingham, and Dover were looking into doing Dover as an elementary school, Wilmington as a middle school, Whitingham as a high school, and being a combined district. And we all agreed it was important for all of us to vote on the same night, because that way no town could, it wouldn't affect any other town. That was gonna be a voice vote at a special town meeting. And what happened was, at the last minute, Whitingham pulled out because their board chair didn't wanna be involved with it, and they were gonna wait to see what we did. And a lot of the comments we got in Dover and a lot of the comments that came out in Wilmington were, well, if they're not gonna vote now, that must mean they don't wanna do it, so nobody wanted to do it, and they just fell apart. And I think so when you're not voting together, that allows people to kind of say, hey, they're not really serious, they're not working.
Yeah, I don't want to take up other time on this, but it seems to me that we can't form our merger unless the K through 12 is formed, but I don't think that the formation of this merger impacts the formation of the K-12. So I don't see why anything falls apart if we wait until after they've voted.
Well, they need us for side-by-side.
They can't be a K-12 without a side-by-side?
I know, they don't need you.
They don't
They
need
can
us.
perform, they can become their
They
own
don't have the
unified
900.
union district, but they have 4 districts. So that's how they take care of that.
So,
So Randy, you.
no,
you had more.
along those lines then, where is the other side at in terms of what they're looking at for a vote?
They're looking to vote next Monday, to have
a town meeting vote.
To have the town.
So they're basically
meeting.
trying to be on the same schedule we are
Yes,
at this
yeah.
point.
Whether they meet that or not, I don't know, but that's their
And
plan.
then one more technical question. If we waited until June to have a vote, I'm assuming you have to have a 30-day chance for a reconsideration. So if, let's say we had a June 15 vote and 30-day reconsideration, would we still qualify for the July 1st, 2018 deadline, or 2017 deadline at that point?
If the vote is approved, I'm going out on a limb a little bit here, but I think if the vote is approved before July 1, you're all set, because any revote would just rescind it.
Okay.
But
or
it
it
might
could
need to be
be-
certified, so I'd have to check that out
But
for
the
sure.
vote could be against it, and there could be a revote.
Oh, that's right,
So,
that would
right.
work.
Right.
So
So
if
that
you
would-
go the other way, yes, so
That's
that
right.
would not.
That's right.
Okay.
So maybe you say May sometime then, late May.
Laura, oh, I'm sorry.
No, I'm good. Those
Okay,
are,
we'll go to Laura and then we'll come back to Dwight.
So I do want to clarify, I think, Donna's comments, and also, you know, those folks had started a lot sooner than we started and had gone through a different process, I think more of a top-down process, whereas ours has been kind of a bottom-up process. I don't think she was encouraging them to take their time, I think she was telling them not to panic. And, you know, that they had time to get this done. In terms of, I have said all along here that I don't think that we should be pushed on anybody else's timeline. I think we should do the work. I think we should, you know, do the work that was asked of us and, you know, do it in a timely fashion, and keep moving forward. I've pushed back on artificial timelines, you know, or timelines that, you know, put us on somebody else's convenience schedule. But as long as we're okay in terms of the vote for July 1, you know, I'm okay with us waiting a little bit. And in terms of, I think you can, you know, I think there's two different camps about what's gonna happen in the legislative session. So I think any kind of speculation is speculation, really, at best. And what we would be potentially, when we vote, if that's tonight or at some other meeting, what I've been able to get more comfortable with is, even if I'm not completely comfortable at that point, what we're voting for is to bring it to our voters. Which means we will have done our work to the best that we can to bring it to our voters. You know, we don't know what our voters are gonna say. So I am in favor of us continuing to move forward. I don't know if that means voting tonight, but I'm not in favor of us waiting to see what happens. I would also encourage people to just be aware of what's happening around us and the level of function and progress that is happening around us. And knowing that at some point pieces are going to start locking in southern Vermont. And where those pieces lock in, you know, I would think that, you know, things will be built around those pieces. So I would ask people to be aware and think about what is happening around us in southern Vermont. I am not in favor, I don't know what I will say at town meeting at this point, even if I voted, if we push and we go tonight and I vote yes to bring it to the voters, I don't know what I'll say at town meeting.
If I can just clarify,
No,
my
I'm gonna give you the ability to respond, because you're bringing the article up, or you're bringing the discussion up.
My proposal is definitely not to just wait until the end of February or whatever, but to keep moving forward, absolutely. That wasn't part of what I was suggesting. It was to just not do anything for 3 months.
Okay, we're gonna go to Dwight, and then we'll come right to here.
I guess I have 3 questions for probably 3 different people. So what, the current schedule that we're on, when to get to town meeting, what is the current schedule that we're on in order to get vote to, when does this committee need to approve the articles in order to be able to vote at town meeting? So
So what we were shooting for was the beginning of December to ship them up. So if we voted on tonight, it would go up to the state board. There's an article here to authorize the officers to make minor adjustments if requested, like if they said, you know, we had a word, you know, something minor, not substantive change, so that we wouldn't have to bring the group back together. It would go to the Department of Ed, but we know that they've already reviewed it, we've corrected, or we've responded to most of their concerns, so we're feeling comfortable that it would pass their muster. And then we planned on, over the next couple months, having public meetings in the different towns to take input. And then if we wanted to make some small changes, you know, we could definitely do those changes and see if we can get the approval on those changes. So we would have to have something usually by the 3rd week of January is when your petitions have to be, or your paperwork has to be in so it can be voted on at town meeting. But we can still have public meetings after it's locked in, but we just can't make any changes because the articles are set.
So
Or the warning would be set.
after the 1st of January, once that's set, then that's.
It's like the third week, the 20th,
Already
14th.
get
Every
it.
town's a little
Yeah,
different, but
already get
they're,
the articles on.
And just to
Hang
add
on a
that
second.
the state board meeting is usually towards the end of a month. So January would be January 20th.
Yeah, I think it has to be the December 20th or 22nd, because otherwise you can't make.
You're not gonna make it.
Yeah. That's what I was just gonna say, Rich.
okay.
So,
are
I
you okay?
mean, yeah, I guess so, and then the other question, I guess, I agree, you know, we shouldn't just wait to see what the legislature will do, because then we could be waiting forever, and that makes sense to move forward unless there's something, and we have to act with what we currently have, so is there anything that you're expecting to happen, or that we think might happen, or just this is out there?
If that's a
That's
question.
for you,
Well, that's a
I
question.
guess for either one of you.
Well, I think Dan's the one that brought it up, so
Yeah.
we'll let Dan.
Well, I guess I would first of all say that because Marlboro is also following up on a proposal for an alternative structure, that may be impacted more than the merger potentially. I don't know that for sure. Laura will maybe have more on that. But it's of interest to Marlboro to find out what happens not only with side-by-sides, but with alternative structures.
Okay, all right. I guess my third
And
question.
Laura, you were gonna say something?
I'm sorry, Laura, did you have anything to add?
I fully expect that there will be legislation put forward to give more time. I know that we heard both gubernatorial candidates say that. I don't think you can, my guess is it would probably be very finite, and it would probably be conditional, if in fact it even gets passage. So we have a brand new situation going on up there, so it's hard to really read the tea leaves. There may be zero appetite for
Okay.
tweaking this, or there may be a lot. And so that's why I say I think we need to safeguard ourselves by continuing moving methodically.
So what percentage of the districts have already merged, or are we one of the last to go? So what could actually change?
Southern Vermont, most of Southern Vermont is still in process.
Okay.
Much of the Northeast Kingdom is still in process. I mean, it's the rural areas with choice, really, by and
Barry
large.
City and Barrytown last night, or Barrytown and Barry last night, had one town vote for it and one against it, or there was discussion about it last night, so I mean, there's some other stuff going on. Randy, do you have a comment on this?
Yeah, I just want to follow up on the legislature. I just don't think you can put faith in that the legislature would do something in a timely manner. If you just pay attention to what they do and how they do it, the earliest you would probably see anything actually go into law, which would modify Act 46, would probably be May. And we're just too far, if at all. If at all. And if you go back 2 years, and if you followed what happened with H 361 before it became Act 46, I mean, it went through all kinds of mixing bowl processes. So you're right in that it would be prudent in some ways to wait, but I have to agree with Laura. I just think we would put a lot of work at risk at that point. That would be my own opinion, to wait to see what they do. And they may not do nothing. And then we potentially, the taxpayers could lose out on the incentives. So I think that would, I don't know if there's a happy medium, maybe there is, but I think to wait till May would be irresponsible for us.
We can also, Mr. Chair, depending on what the legislature's doing, there will be a sense to have we could resoundingly say to our towns, stop.
Before town meeting.
Yes.
We could all say, we've done this work, but don't vote for it.
Remember too, that
Right.
this is a committee,
You may say anything.
this is a committee of citizens from 3 towns. When this is all done, the school boards are gonna look at this, and I don't know what's gonna happen with the school boards. The 3 school boards may say, this is the greatest thing since sliced bread, vote for this as quick as you can. Or the 3 school boards may say, this doesn't work, we don't like this, we recommend you don't vote for it. Or they may just say, here it is, read it, and we don't wanna influence you, you folks decide, we're here to answer questions. I don't know how the boards are gonna react. I know we have a lot of board members on this committee, but, it could go any way. I just don't know, until you actually vote.
Yeah, I just have one more for
Yeah,
Dan,
go
if I
ahead.
could. I think this is great that you have such great public we don't, reaction, we didn't have that much in Wardsboro. I guess there is more going on in Marlboro, we all know, switching to a K through 6. Is most of the feedback, what I would ask is most of the feedback, going to a K through 6, is it merging with another district and the fear of being part of a larger district, or is it the articles themselves that need to be rewritten? It seems to be there's three kinds of different issues at play, and what are the people in town most concerned about?
Yeah, I have a suggestion here, that's slightly off the topic of the changing of the timeline here. Rich, do you wanna wait and talk about
If you're okay, we can
specific
wait.
suggestions to the
Okay.
articles? Because those are
Because I
kind
think
of a
that's
different
in the
topic,
articles,
so.
we can discuss that.
Yeah.
Like, I think you have some things you wanna bring up also. I don't, are yours in with the stuff that you sent to Dan?
Yes, they are.
Yeah.
Okay,
Edited, well, not, I shouldn't.
okay,
put it that
so
way.
you'll have a chance to weigh
preserve
in.
the names of the innocent.
Dwight, you all set?
Yeah, that's great.
Well, I wanted to echo what was said by Laura and Randy and Dwight about just being, like, we have a charge that we're supposed to follow through, like, regardless of what the legislature is going to do or not do. Like, nobody has a crystal ball. We have to do what, you know, and I don't think Dan is saying stop doing the work, but I also think that we can't. I don't have a crystal ball that works. If anyone does, it'd be great. And, yeah. And as far as public participation goes, post-town meeting, I just have a little bit of worry around that, because I know that towns in general have more participation if something happens on town meeting. I mean, we say all the time, Marlboro is an exception, because people are typically engaged in our community, but at the same time, I don't think we get the same kind of turnout if it's not on town meeting day. So I have a little bit of concern about that. So I actually wanted to ask John maybe a couple clarifying questions. Once we submit, we can still go in and make changes up until the end of January, correct? That was what was just said. And then,
Okay, time-wise, the state board meets at the end of December,
right,
and then they don't meet again till after
so,
what it sounds like you have to have them done. So you're gonna have a hard time getting the state board to act before you need them for the town reports, because they'll be meeting in late January. So it depends on your timing for your
town reports.
town reports.
Usually it's a third week, but
Yeah, we have a-
petitions don't have to be in until the end of the month. So it may
So it'd
be
be
really
close.
close.
So it'd
It'd be close.
But I would say that probably, and this is my guess here, that you're not gonna get a big substantive change in the end of January,
Mhm.
would be my guess. I
Mhm.
mean, that would be,
Mhm.
I mean, you could
Mhm.
you could talk to them and argue for it.
Mhm.
And if it made sense to, I guess you'd get it, but that would be sort of out of the norm
Okay.
to get a big change.
So, since we're paying you the big bucks, what is your take on this, if you don't mind me asking you so candidly?
No, actually, it's exactly what you said, that this, from my point of view, this is about citizens making a decision. And so I always look for the place where you're gonna get the most citizen participation, which is town meeting or national elections.
Mhm.
But that one has
That are
gone
in
by.
past, yeah.
We could wait 4 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. Delay it for 4 years.
Yeah, I
So
think-
that's,
Much as I
that's,
like you guys.
I mean, that's, for me, that's the important part, is many citizens participate.
Well, I think
as
that's the
possible.
important part for, yeah, that I want more people to be engaged.
I guess my concern is that citizen input to make changes in these is what has to happen before we send it into the Board of Ed.
Right.
And because of Thanksgiving and Christmas and all the stuff that's going on, and the amount of interest there was, at least in Marlboro, of looking at these, and frustration on the part of people who didn't have time, 1 week wasn't a whole lot of time to wade through these, that I think we're gonna get people who are pretty unhappy that they haven't had a chance to really look at this and talk about it.
Can I comment to that?
Mm.
So, I would just use Carol Ann as an example. She's been in all the meetings, she's been up to speed, she's made a lot of changes, she's suggested a lot of things. We've spent a lot of money and a lot of effort and a lot of time to get this out, we videotape it, we've hired the video guy again. You know, we've had press releases, we're doing everything we can to reach out to people. I just really don't think that if people have said that I didn't know you were doing this, you know, I mean, you can lead a horse to water, you can hold its head under there, but can you make it drink?
But we didn't get
And-
any responses until it was out there last week.
We have gotten responses. Has not Caroline responded? Have
Well,
not
I'm
we had
thinking of the other people.
Okay,
um,
well,
that
and then,
responded.
you know, because, I mean, I just think we've done everything we can, and it's still out there, and they can still respond to it, so.
When did it
What's
go
that?
public?
It's,
Friday.
oh, I'll get to you in one sec, okay? You put your hand down. I don't want you to yell at me tomorrow when your hand is sore.
I just didn't know whether you had seen me.
I had, thank you. So, I mean, I just think we've really.
But the articles themselves were not public until last Friday.
They've been available at the meetings that we've had, and we've handed them out to anybody who's come, because you had Gussie at one of your meetings, you've had 3 or 4 people, we've handed them out to those people. There was the gentleman that lives over on the Lower Dover Road, at one meeting, he got a copy of it, so they have been out there, Lucy. Oh, that's you, I'm sorry. So, I mean.
Well,
I-
those
I
are
will-
drafts.
Right, and these are, we're still a draft.
Oh, it's much more formalized now than it was 3 weeks ago.
But there's not a whole lot more information in there than there was when you, at the last meeting in Marlboro.
That's true.
Okay, thank you. I'm sorry, go ahead.
I was really mostly gonna say what Lucy had, that it's great that people can come. I came tonight even though I worked a long day and it was hard. I knew about all these meetings and I have great faith in this committee, and I can see the amount of work you had done. I didn't get a chance to read them until I was told that they were public. I waited as a member of the public to say, the draft is ready for you to look at. So then I looked at it and was told I had to make my comment by today, which was a very short time. And I and several other people made that, but I had talked to many people who said to me, it was only out there a week. I wish I had more time. So I agree that I think it should come before the public on town meeting day. I do think that that's an important, but I can't see the need, and I think it would be doing a disservice to people in many towns if you change this from a draft tonight, because it is not clear. As a member of the public who understands quite a lot of educational lingo, there's still a lot of ambiguity in many of the things, and many of it is wonderful and clear, and I would like the whole thing to be that clear, so when it comes before the towns, those townspeople can make an educated vote as opposed to being confused, and a lot of people who read it are confused. I don't think you would need that much more time, but tonight seems pretty quick to me. You know, I wouldn't tell you whether you needed 1 more week or 2 more weeks. That would be completely up to you, but I would encourage you to take more than just tonight to do your little tweaks, because there's a lot that's confusing for someone reading it for the first time.
Thank you. Randy?
Yeah,
Oh, I broke my rule, I'm sorry. Does anybody?
yeah,
from
you
the
should go
board-
to somebody else
Is
first.
there anybody else that wants to comment who hasn't yet? Anybody from the public that would like to comment that hasn't yet? We had a couple more people sneak in.
I can appreciate my fellow citizens from Marlboro and their predicament about wanting to take more time on this. However, I do think the best remedy is to get on it. You know, people came prepared to make comments. Marlboro has apparently a very large list of accumulated comments, so let's get to it.
We're done in a couple minutes. We're almost right there. We're right on schedule, Stephen. Okay, if there's no more from the public, then Randy.
Just, again, a couple quick things. I'm curious when Marlboro, when you guys formed or chose this group of the 3 of you, how many people applied from the public, not school board members, to be involved in this group? Obviously Lucy did.
Actually,
I
no,
can-
we wrangled her.
Okay,
Nobody
Celine's gonna answer.
volunteered, we had to solicit.
You had to twist arms, okay. Yeah, I'd say move on, because honestly, Rich, I don't think we have to decide now whether we're gonna stall off. I think we can get through the work.
Yep.
And go from there. And
7:05.
at the end, we either vote tonight to send them up, or we vote to continue working on them. I mean, I think it just comes down to that. I think Dan's made a very eloquent point. I think we all made eloquent points. Let's do the work and see where we get to it in an hour.
Okay, Dan, you good with that, sir?
Sure, yep.
Okay, so it's
Sounds like a consensus.
7:07, we were supposed to do this at 7:05, we did start a little late, so I think we're right on schedule. We got a couple new people that snuck in, Sir, you mind just introducing yourself?
I'm Paul Butler, I'm a Marlboro resident.
Thank you. In the back.
Francie Marbury, the principal at Marlboro and a Marlboro resident.
And right to your right.
I'm Marco Tolini, and I did introduce myself.
Oh, you did? I thought you.
Nobody remembered that
It was Stephen that snuck in, we didn't make him introduce himself. Okay, so where do you guys, how do you all wanna go through the articles? Do you want to go to anything specific? Do we wanna just go through, is there anything that you guys wanna change in the report? Remember, the report is the beginning part of it? Before we
Richard, I might
get,
suggest that the agenda specified some order,
you wanna do those first?
and that you might wanna do those, because people put in a lot of work on it.
Okay, so the vision statement was the first thing we wanted to work on. There was a bunch of stuff that had gone around on that. So one page, two-sided.
There's four vision statements that I gleaned from your emails. I wrote them all in front.
Anybody out there?
Front side.
So out of the four vision statements, would anybody like to champion number one?
I don't know.
And tell us why it's
Well,
the
on
one we
time.
want?
Yeah.
No,
Let me ask the committee first. Is there anyone that, people on the committee, somebody would like to say this is the one I think we ought to go with?
I like one.
Okay, Laura's championing one, why?
It's a little hedged.
Politician.
Well, I mean, do we have a strong sense here?
I don't know, I'm
I
asking.
mean, is everybody like, we see it, it's amazing, that's where we wanna go? You know?
Okay.
I mean, I think it says it's possible. We see that it's possible. We value what we have, but we see that something is possible. I think that's what it says.
I'd love a comment from somebody from Marlboro. Oh, go ahead.
I like two, because I think the whole point of doing this was to give something for the new unified board to strive towards. And we wanted to give them something to be reminded of, something to work with, something, to hold on to. And I feel like that is clear and not super wordy, but also like, this is our goal, and we wanna see it come through.
Dwight, you were one pushing on this.
I like two as well.
Okay.
That's good.
Mike, any comment?
That's support number two.
Lucy, you got any thoughts?
Well, I liked a pared down version. I felt it got kind of wordy, and the vision.
Was that the one that's not on this sheet that came out late? or-
It's on four, it's four.
Number four.
It's number
Okay,
4.
I'm sorry.
And so it just seemed clearer to me, cleaner and clearer.
Chip?
Kind of echoing what Lucy said, this reminds me of that exercise when you write something by committee, you get mediocrity by consensus. And I just feel that we're getting some very wordy things here where we're trying to get everything in. Can we somehow choose one of these as best representing what we're trying to say and then get it to 3 or 4 sentences and half the number of words? Yeah.
Dan?
I will say, I like 4 also, and one of the reasons why, maybe it's the hedge factor that Laura was talking about. We believe this new alliance can. Number 2 says, there will be enhanced connections, and I think I like the idea of what we believe, what we hope, rather than the dictum, there will be.
Dan? You all set? Dan?
Yeah, thanks.
Randy?
Well, I once paid a consultant a lot of money to write a vision statement for my company, and
How'd it work?
we still use it, so I guess I got my money's worth. But I have to agree with Lucy and Chip and Dan. You gotta go with the most pared down one. A vision statement has to be something that people can get behind, and it has to have a life that can live on. And if it's too wordy, first of all, you can't repeat it to anybody. And it's not that 1, 2, and 3 don't have the sentiment in there, they certainly do, but I think it has to get distilled down. And, you know, Lucy, by coming in late with that today, did that. And I think I would take one word out of there and take new out, because 5 years from now, it's not gonna be a new alliance if it goes through. But the vision statement still should have weight 5 years from now. And if it doesn't, then it's not a good vision statement. So I would go with 4, or at least a sentiment of 4. If we have to tweak some wording on it, by all means do. But that's my thoughts.
Okay.
I have one wording tweak to 4,
Okay.
if I can put that in.
Yeah, go ahead.
Instead of "we believe," "we envision" this new alliance.
Is everybody who
Thanks
votes
to,
for okay
that's
with that?
thanks to Anita.
I like that.
Okay, so
Yes.
we envision this alliance, and we'll do away with the new too.
That
Okay.
was my comment. Thank
Okay,
you.
so
That's
public,
all.
any thoughts from you folks out there in the peanut gallery? Yes?
Well, it doesn't look like 2 is gonna be chosen, but it does have a sentence fragment in it that you might want.
Okay, if we go there, you'll correct us.
Okay.
Anybody else from the audience? Yes?
I like saying that the whole is greater than the sum of the parts. Gives you something to think about, and it does give you something that encapsulates the whole thing.
Where is that, I'm sorry?
That's in
2
2.
or 3.
I mean, I think you can pare down number 2. I think you don't have to talk about safety and supportive environment and I
And I
think.
think that was kind of what you've done, Lucy, you've taken all these and, or did you just take one and? Okay. Thank you, Carol. Anybody else? John, you want to weigh in at all, or? Okay, so why don't we,
Can
Yeah.
I make one more thing?
One more.
I'm just,
maybe,
well, I'm just saying that the first part of, number 4, it kind of sounds like an introduction instead of a vision.
and it doesn't work when you move forward, because it says the elementary study committee has prepared this.
Right.
So the vision maybe
So
should
it
be,
kind of just needs to start by sharing resources and talents.
so you want to do that by sharing resources and talent?
Well, and if we want to even say by sharing resources and talent,
You want to take that
We-
beginning thing?
yeah, take out the beginning thing. And if we even wanted to include the thing about the whole is greater than the parts, you can stick that in there.
So we
And
would
then
take the first
just go with
sentence
the
from
rest of
number
it.
2. Hang on one second, sir. So just so I'm clear, we want to take the first sentence from number 2, which is a long sentence, and make that the first sentence and take the whole first sentence out of number 4.
And then start by sharing.
Well, you're gonna have duplication then, if you take the first sentence from number 2 and the second sentence of number 4. So,
We can just say.
you could say, with respect for each town's local identity, we envision a unified school district that represents how the whole is greater than the sum of the parts, and leave it at that.
Yeah.
Okay. Did you write that down? Because I
I'm
totally
noting
lost
it.
you. And then can you read that first sentence out loud? So
Who's
John
reading?
can write it?
Me?
Yeah.
Okay. So if I understand right, we're taking out the first sentence of vision statement number 4, and we're taking a modified version of the first sentence of version number 2, which would start by saying, with respect for each town's local identity, we envision a unified school district that will represent how the whole is greater than the sum of the parts. And then you go on from there by sharing resources and talents. We envision this alliance, et cetera, et cetera.
Okay, does that kind of fit, Carol, what you were?
Yeah.
That wasn't the sentence that you had a problem with,
Nope.
was it? Okay, Bill, you had a comment?
Well, I was just gonna say, if you couldn't fit in whole is greater than the sum of its parts, that would be a powerful
Title?
before the vision.
Yeah. Stephen, go ahead, sir.
I think on a return to believe, if we've already used envision in the paragraph.
Do you have this on your computer?
Instead of believe?
Well, no, you know,
I
the
mean,
second
instead of
sentence is
envision.
gonna be by sharing resource and talents, instead of repeating the word envision, say we believe.
Go back to believe.
Because it's in the first sentence.
Envision.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I got a real bad grade at freshman college for having Word betrayal or some form thereof 14 times in the first paragraph.
That's stuck with
I
you all
failed.
these days.
Miserably.
Are you okay with that, John?
Yeah, that works.
We're working on it.
That works.
Okay. So, is there any other comments from you folks, the audience? Any other comment from the board? Video
Can
guy
we-
got a comment?
Can we just read the whole thing
Yeah.
now that we have?
I just wanna see if there's any comments
Okay,
before they
yeah.
write it all out. And
Well, I
I'm
feel like I
hoping-
can't comment again. I
Okay.
hear it again.
So, who's got it?
I got it.
So they can read it out loud into the record.
Hold on.
The editor is editing.
Yeah, I'm not good with a pen.
Ditto.
You wanna borrow a computer?
No, I got it.
Okay.
Okay, all right, here we go.
Go slow.
With respect for each town's local identity, we envision a unified school district that will represent how the, quote, whole is greater than the sum of the parts, unquote. By sharing resources and talents, we believe this alliance, you need to slow down.
You're doing okay.
By sharing resources and talents, we believe this alliance can provide students and teachers access to increased educational opportunities, better services, and expanded resources while respecting the unique identity of the Dover, Marlboro, and Wardsboro schools.
Okay, hang on a second. Let me
You
just
gotta
make sure we all have.
You gotta repeat again, you got with
Yeah.
respect twice.
You're talking about the
Well,
identity in the
respecting-
first sentence and the last
Yeah.
sentence, it's kind of redundant.
Yeah, so you want to change the last identity to character?
Just end with I would just end with
Just end with
resources,
Why
with
don't you just end with
resources, you don't need to
resources?
repeat it.
And it
Yeah.
shortens it right up.
Yeah, because it's already in there.
Okay, yeah, sure.
Lucy,
Yeah, I
you're
think
butchering your thing. You worked so
Fine.
hard on this.
No.
Yeah, we don't name each town in there, but does that really matter at this point?
No, because what if
Nope.
one town doesn't, or Marlboro doesn't vote in?
Yeah, right, yeah, yeah.
I think that really fits good for no matter what happens.
Okay, so, you want me to read it again?
Yeah.
Sorry, Peter.
Go ahead, that's better.
With respect for each town's local identity, we envision a unified school district that will represent how the, quote, whole is greater than the sum of the parts, period, unquote. I'll let you catch up.
I'm good.
You good?
By sharing resources and talents, we believe this alliance can provide students and teachers access to increased educational opportunities, better services, and expanded resources. Period. That's it.
That's good.
Everybody's shaking their head out in the audience, they like that.
All right, we got buy-in.
How about the board? The group,
Better
yes,
services
hang on.
and expanded
Do we have a double
resources.
by sharing resources and expanded resources? Is there a doubling up on resources in there?
Sure.
It's true, we use the word resources twice.
Expanded opportunities?
Yeah.
We haven't used that, have we?
Yes, well, education.
Educational
Oh, yeah,
opportunities.
you do.
Better services.
Oh, yeah, educational opportunities, better services, and expanded.
Expanding the resources.
By sharing.
Yeah, but there's gonna be more than just the.
There's a resource.
You want to say something about efficiencies?
No,
Increased
No.
efficiencies?
people won't like that.
Sorry, John, it's a real
God forbid.
Nothing worse would be synergy here.
I'm so sorry, boy.
Was it superintendent, did you?
I
Go for efficiencies.
It's like a corporate merger.
Capabilities,
And they may change resources.
Or just say and better services, if you want, and stop.
Yeah.
Is that, are people okay with expanded services? Because,
Well, no,
or better services and better services?
increase educational opportunities and better services? Yeah, I mean, expanded resources is sort of the same as increased opportunities, right?
Program
Expanded
enhancements.
resources.
So we actually shorten it up even more.
All right.
But you're not gonna increase better services, you're gonna increase services.
Increase educational opportunities.
And better services.
Improved?
Yeah, improved.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Sorry, Peter, Improve what?
I don't know, services. I
My
think.
copy editor's killing herself right now.
Improve the
So I think
services.
that too.
Shall I read what I got?
Yeah,
What?
we should be
Yeah, you do the reading
projecting.
this time.
With respect for each town's local identity, we envision a unified school district that will represent how, quote, the whole is greater than the sum of the parts, period, unquote. By sharing resources and talents, we believe this alliance can provide students and teachers access to increased educational opportunities and better services.
And improve
Change the,
services.
change the last better to improve,
Improved services.
and
Got it.
improve services.
Okay, people in the
Why not?
audience, you good with that?
As a member of the public,
Yes.
why not leave out improve, better, increased educational opportunities and services? Less words, nobody will notice.
Well, I think you have to aim for something with a, am I allowed to talk?
Yeah, go ahead.
I think with a vision statement, you're supposed to be aiming for something, and what we're aiming for is improvement. So I think
Yeah.
it's an important adjective.
I think she's right, Rich. I think we talked last week about,
The sizzle.
yeah, and this is part of the system, that it's not just more services, because it could just be more services. We want to improve what we have,
Right.
and so that board always has the vision of, hey, we have to work towards improving what we have and being better than what we are right now.
Okay.
What
So-
about access to improved rather than access to increased? That's where if you're after the improvements.
Yeah, that's,
Yeah,
We want to
that's
increase,
better.
just trying to,
Improved educational.
Increased educational opportunities and improved services.
improve
No,
educational
improved
opportunities and
educational
services.
opportunities and better services.
I don't like this.
I'm gonna run out of paper.
No, we need to be
You
at
want
point,
some more
we need to
paper,
be
Ray?
projected.
No, I'm just kidding.
We should be flipped.
I think you really are trying to increase educational opportunities. though.
Yeah, I mean, we're trying to increase opportunities,
Yeah,
not
that's
just,
good.
we're not just improving what's already there, we want to add opportunities too. So I think we need to leave increased in
I
there.
agree.
I think John's right.
Okay, so what do you got now? Let's read it one more time. Everybody listen,
Is
because
it
this
the
is
last
gonna
one
be our
here?
final version.
Then we got,
Yeah, go ahead and please read the final
With
version.
respect for each town's local identity, we envision a unified school district that will represent how, quote, the whole is greater than the sum of the parts, period, unquote. By sharing resources and talents, we believe this alliance can provide students and teachers access to increased educational opportunities and improved services.
Okay, everybody out in the audience is giving thumbs up. How about on the board?
Yeah.
Did you have a comment, sir? I'm sorry.
No, I did the
Oh, you
thumbs up.
did thumbs up, okay.
Do you want a show of hands or a voice vote? or
No,
you
is
good
there
with
anybody
this?
that doesn't like this? I think by unanimous consent, we've
Okay.
created a vision statement. We've created vision for people that didn't have it.
That feels good, thank you. That feels really good, actually.
Wow, that's the easiest we've ever come up with a vision statement ever. So, additional articles, program enhancements and future opportunities. Dwight, I'm gonna let you start on this one, because this was your little, this was your thing.
On the back of the single sheet.
Oh, okay, beautiful.
should I just read what,
Well,
we
no,
have, or just kind of talk about it?
so everybody, if you flip the sheet over, the reason I'm giving this to Dwight was he had brought this up at our meeting last week, and he wanted to sizzle too, because he didn't think anything came up, so
Right.
he came up with this. So do you want to recommend one? Do you have one you liked, you didn't like?
Well, I like them both. I think what came out of the last meeting was that we were trying to, there were things missing from the articles and that we had originally talked about early on. And one was the opportunities for students, and then the other one, which we thought was going forward, which we called program enhancement. So, and I felt it was, and some other people felt it was a good idea to actually put those in the articles rather than just have it in the vision statement or in the conclusion, to put it out there so that it really kind of would guide the future board to know that this is really important and these things need to be taken seriously. So being in the articles, I felt was important. So I wrote them right away when I got home, so it's a little bit fresh in my brain. And does everybody have them?
So Article 1, let's start with that one.
Okay, I put it as Article 1 because I thought it really really spoke to what we're trying to accomplish here. Article 1, originally I wrote it as educational opportunities, but it could be program and educational opportunities. The Unified District Board will act in the best interests of its students. In order to maximize the opportunities available to all students, the Unified District Board will allow for educational opportunities provided at each school to be extended to all students in the district. In addition, the board will seek opportunities for schools to share resources, educational programs, materials, and faculty expertise. So the idea here is that the board will have the ability to expand programs for students and give certain programs that are available in one school that they could be, find ways to provide those same opportunities at other schools as well.
Okay, so comments from the board.
I think it's great. I think it's as far as Article 1 goes, I think that speaks to the whole reason why all of us are sitting here.
Any other comments from the board? You all happy with it? Nobody wants to word it any, wordsmith it any? Dwight, you nailed it, Dwight. Okay,
Sometimes it
sure.
happens.
So just by way of clarification, so this would be the first article, and then in the draft where it says Article 1, that would become Article 2 and so forth. I would comment that it puts what you're doing in a positive light, and it helps to alleviate concerns of people who are looking at this for the first time, that you're eliminating schools or changing things. No, you're increasing opportunities and available resources. And, you know, it's working with each community and each school. So I think that's a great thing to emphasize at the beginning.
Thank you.
That was kind of the goal. Yeah.
That's what we wanted. Go ahead.
It's a wonderful statement.
Yeah.
I find allow to be an interesting word because it doesn't really say anything. It doesn't say you will be doing it or you won't be doing it. And I feel that it is, it's a political statement in the best meaning of the word, in that it doesn't say how this could possibly happen. As someone who works at a school with programs that I would be curious to see how they would be given to other students in schools in far away. So I'm just.
One of the things we just, and since you haven't been to a meeting before, I don't know if you've watched the videos, but one of the things is we can't.
Are they on BCTV?
Yeah, they're on the
Doesn't come to
internet.
Marlboro.
So, no, they're on the internet, but, or follow any of the minutes. One of the things is we can't be real specific, because what's gonna happen is if all the towns approve these articles, there's gonna be a new board elected. And the new board will be very similar to the school boards you have now in each town, except it's just gonna be a regional board. And that regional board will have to come up with the specifics. They're the ones who are gonna say, you know, this is how we're gonna do things, this is what it's all gonna look like. And if we tie their hands, if we put something in the articles, they have to do it. So if we could put into the articles that every school will have 1 hour of Spanish every day.
That's not what I'm asking.
Okay,
That's what I'm
then-
saying. I'm saying that this does not tell me as a member of the public one way or the other. It just tells me that you have a nice idea. And so it doesn't
No, it's not
carry.
a nice idea, it's what the new board will have to try to
No,
accomplish.
because it says allow, it doesn't say we will. And I'm just saying that as a public reading this, it's a great idea, but it doesn't help me understand how this is gonna impact my children's life if I have children in the school, or my taxes if I'm a taxpayer. That's all I'm saying. It doesn't.
Well, I'm gonna let Dwight respond, because it says,
Yeah.
and then we'll go to you.
I hear what you're saying, and I definitely took that into consideration. I think what this does, if you're a parent, let's say, and there's something going on in another school that you think your child should have access to, if you refer to this, and what we're trying to do is create a framework for the next board coming in. So that framework will say, you can say, you have to allow for this. And they'll have to figure out a way to do so if they can reasonably do so. So that's kind of what we're trying to say. They need to at least you're saying, yes, it's in the article, you need to allow for it if you can. And that's, I think, as far as maybe we can go. I'm not sure how much further we can go than that. Possibly more, I'm not sure.
I'm not asking you to change it, I'm just
Yeah.
putting out
So I'm just trying
the
to
way it would look
clarify.
to a taxpayer or a parent reading it.
Yeah.
Laura?
So if it said, the Unified District Board will increase educational opportunities provided at each, or ensure?
Or bring.
Would that make it, would that, I'm just trying to understand the context of
I
your.
don't think you wanna go there.
Right, because that's.
Yeah.
I don't say that. No, I don't.
Purposefully
So,
want it.
well, what I'm trying to figure out is if there's a solution
Yeah.
to the challenge that you're bringing.
It's not really a challenge, I just was a response in that it doesn't help me understand what this is gonna bring in terms of, as something to give to the voters to read, that's all.
So,
It's a nice sentiment.
and I wanna make sure I understand your point. So what Rich is saying is we can't be too specific because of the new board. But I think what I'm hearing you say is that's the only way that you're gonna have the confidence of folks is if you are more specific.
Yeah, I think you guys are invited because of that.
Okay, I just wanna make sure I'm clear on what it is that you're saying, okay.
I think this
Hey,
discussion.
whoa.
He raised his hand.
I said in a second,
Oh,
Stephen. Are you all set?
I'm done.
Okay, do you wanna follow up at all, because it's your thing?
No, I think
Okay, you're all set?
Well, I think this
John,
discussion raises the question of trust. And in fact, the skeptical voter isn't gonna trust the new board, you know, depending on who you elect. And the reality is that the new board is gonna have to deal with this. And so elect the right people to the new board. That's the way the political process works.
So is this you putting your hat in the ring for the new board?
He's got nothing else to do.
Yes. It'd be only one meeting, Stephen. Go ahead, Randy. I'm sorry. Thank you.
Is there somebody else?
No, I don't think there was.
It's all a leap of faith, you know, and you can't have every line in here spell out in concrete what's gonna happen. And, yeah, I understand what you're saying. You wanna be able to sit down and read this and say, I get it. I know exactly where we're going. I know exactly what this new thing is gonna look like. But the reality is, nobody really knows that. And that's the real leap of faith, because you're going from something, oh, you're late for class. Actually got here right on time. Why does the bell ring at 8:30 at night?
Clocks are a little off.
You're the tech guy.
Oh, these clocks don't have any tech.
So, anyway, I don't know. I mean, I don't think you can have a document that would answer everybody's questions in 28 or 30 or 38 or 100 pages.
No.
You know, and again, I understand what you're saying, but I just don't, some of it has to be explained like we're doing now. I just don't think there's any other way around it.
And that, I mean, that's one of my issues, and that's what I've been telling people is that, you know, you're gonna have to trust that the same group of people that have been running the local school in each of the towns, it's gonna be similar people are gonna be doing this new school, and so hopefully, if it comes about, so, you know, we're hoping that it's gonna be run similar to the three schools, because it's gonna be, you know, the similar group of people and similar, you know, they're not gonna wanna reinvent the entire wheel. It's not gonna, like, everything gonna be thrown out and everybody's gonna start from scratch, cause just nobody wants to do that. But it is, you know, you don't know, but the other thing is, at any time in any of our elections, you know, any of us, except with the 5-member board, you're changing 2 members every year, or you have the ability to change 2 members in any year, and that's pretty darn close to the majority, so it could really change the way a board acts, or what a board does with a program, so. That's why it's so important to get out and vote.
And Rich, I just to continue what you were saying, I think you gotta read these in the context that you have 3 communities that have historically been very dedicated to the education of their kids. They've historically provided a lot of resources towards that. They might have some different approaches, but 3 towns that are very committed to education and to, you know, having community involvement and spending money towards that education. So I think, you know, you're starting from a very positive base, and these are kind of written in that context. That's how I read it.
So I haven't really heard a lot saying that that's not good, so are we okay with Article 1? Look at that, they turned the lights out on this out there. Is everybody okay with Article 1 then? Is there anybody that doesn't like it?
Do we need to make a motion to,
No, I think just
Or is it
unanimous
just-
consent again, why don't we include Article 1?
What's the name you wanna put on it?
Do you wanna do program and educational opportunities, Dwight, or you wanna just leave it as educational opportunities?
Either one.
Well, what do you folks wanna see?
I think opportunities is, I think programs can be included, like, under that umbrella, I don't think we necessarily need
Yeah,
to say it twice.
Just leave it
Programs
educational.
in Article 6 anyway.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, so why don't we just do educational
Yeah,
opportunities?
um,
Are you good?
Yep.
So do you need?
And I just had to make the correction of calling it the Unified Board, just so it aligns with the other language in the document.
Oh, right, so
Okay,
unified district.
Tiny
board.
change, yeah.
Right. So it's just
Okay,
unified board.
good.
Unified district.
Then the second one, Dwight, you had was Article 6.
Right. Article 6, we talked about not only, the current opportunities, but how to enhance programs and educational opportunities moving forward. So it kind of gives some direction to the board to constantly strive for better opportunities. So this is what based on our discussion, this is what I put down. The Unified District Board will work towards enhancing educational opportunities that may become available for the benefit of all students in the district, including expanding curriculum, maximizing available technology, and introducing learning procedures or educational programs. The board will ensure that these opportunities are made available to all students in the district.
Okay, so first we'll go comments from the board. If there are any. Comments from the public. Everybody's shaking their heads. So by unanimous consent, do we call it educational enhancement or do we call it program and educational enhancement or program enhancement? What do you all want to call it?
I think this is speaking specifically to program enhancement.
So we want to just call it program enhancement, is that okay with people? Hearing nobody say no, let's,
And we don't worry at all about how they're gonna do this.
It's up to them.
it's up
It's
to
not,
that.
yeah, it's up to
It's
them.
up to you when you're on that new board. You and Stephen will have to decide. Stephen, Lucy's gonna help you on that board.
Yes, we'll be a
Hey,
team.
Dwight, excellent work, thank you, sir.
Yeah, thank you, Dwight.
Okay, so now, it says input from public review, so Dan, I don't know, do you wanna go through your,
Are we gonna talk about names?
no, it's last.
Oh, missed that, sorry.
Yeah, I mean, if we don't have any good articles, why would you wanna name it? Yeah, then you don't wanna take it home and you have to feed it, so. Dan, I'm gonna let you go first, cause you have a bunch if you want to.
I do, what I'm gonna suggest is that we go through it, just start right at the top, and where feedback that I've gotten from members of my public are pertinent, then we'll bring them out.
Okay, why don't we, is that okay?
Draft 6,
Pardon?
draft 6.
Draft 6?
Yes,
Yeah.
November 9th. So, listen, anybody who has any comments, is what we'll do is, we're not gonna go through the study, the report in the beginning. We're gonna start with what used to be Article 1, which is now Article 2.
Let's just name them, let's just forget about that,
November
and
9th.
stay with this numbering.
Yeah, as they
through
go.
this.
Okay, what,
Do you have November 8th, 9th, or?
it's November 9th version, right, John?
Version 6.
Version 6,
six.
November 9th.
It's got the date at the top.
Just a
Yes.
clarification, are you going to talk about the first part, which was, your report?
I wasn't going to, because last time we met, everybody's pretty happy with the report.
Okay.
Do you have a comment in the report
Well,
section?
some of it was extremely helpful as a
Yeah.
member of the public, and some of it was confusing. So if that's first, when someone opens a document, that's what they're going to look at first.
Okay, so,
So maybe you
Are we
would wanna
okay
put
with-
your articles first, if that's, I don't know.
do we want, does, yes,
So some of the comments that I've got do relate to things that are in
in the report?
the report ahead of the articles.
Okay,
And I
well,
think that
why don't we go through by page on the report? So why don't we start on page 1? Does anybody have a comment on page 1? Yes.
Selena, your name is spelled wrong.
Oh, that's my fault, because in the email, I forgot, I didn't type your whole name
Thanks.
It's been that way from the beginning.
in.
Has it?
Nobody's noticed it.
She's too nice to actually say.
He's the editor, so unless he finds it, it doesn't count. On page 1, does anybody have any comments? Page 2.
Spell my freaking name right.
Hey, you're on TV.
Now you're figuring out how to work with it.
Page 2.
I've just been kicking them out of the table the whole time.
Ouch. Page 3. That's why I had to sit more over there. It was hurting. Page 4. Yes.
It says
This
at
is
the bottom
first
of page
class.
I'm
4,
looking at revising.
in terms of opportunities for United Arts physical education, technology, and library programs, the schools were similar. That's just not true, because I believe 2 of the schools have a library and one of them doesn't.
All 3 schools have a
But
library.
they have a 90% full-time librarian,
It doesn't.
so they're not the same. This is, if
We never said they were the same. We said they were similar. The state average
okay, I say they're not similar.
is 1 full-time librarian for every 300 students, so that's.
So, no,
we're
but
all
wait,
close.
you have a 90% librarian for 70 students in Marlboro. I don't know the other places, but is it similar? Is it a 60% librarian at Wardsboro and 100% at Dover?
It's
No,
a
Dover's 40.
and 2% at worst.
So
20%.
I find that that's a misleading statement for someone from any of those towns to read it and say, oh, library services aren't gonna change because they're all about the same anyway. So I just feel like that's a misleading statement, to say they're similar. And I'm sorry to sound nitpicky, but this is the document that people are gonna read before they vote. Unless you're gonna put those articles
So,
first and not put that.
Can we change it then to, and each school has a library? Is everybody okay with that? Perfect. Okay, is that in on page 4?
When people
go to Ma'am.
vote, they're just gonna say the one paragraph.
Rachel, we just put it, each
That's
school
fine.
has a library? Okay, was there anything else on page 4?
No.
Okay, page 5. Comments? Rolling along to page 6. Any comments? Page 7. Dan?
So, somebody had pointed out that they were reading, partway down, there's a bullet point, while WCSU has taken positive steps, the government structure with 3 separate boards presents barriers to further improvements in student opportunities, such as single teacher negotiated agreement. I don't know what that says. I can't figure out what that means.
It's just, where are you? Just so.
About
Page 7.
halfway down page 7.
Second
It's
bullet
right
point.
here.
Yeah, while WCSU.
Single teacher negotiated agreement to allow for deploying resources in ways that best meet the student needs. This, what we're saying is that right now, I can't take a teacher from Dover and stick them in Marlboro because I have a bigger class in Marlboro and I need more teachers over there. Marlboro has to hire a new teacher. Because if what we talked about is we had a single teacher agreement, then the teacher works for the new district, and then they can be assigned to whichever building in that district, that new district. So, yes, Randy?
Well, I think it's the word order that people hang on.
Yes, how do we fix it so it's more
Uh,
clear?
I would just take out negotiate and say a single teacher agreement would allow for deploying resources in ways that best meet changing student needs.
And maybe
What's
we
talking
shouldn't call resources, maybe we should call it to say teacher, single teacher negotiated. single-
No.
No, because,
No.
no, because there may be, I think you wanna leave it as
Buses.
resources.
Well, but this is
Single
specific to
teacher-
teacher.
But this is talking about the
'Cause
current
a single-
reality.
Yeah.
We have to remember this is talking about the current reality. This is exactly how it is now.
No, this is barriers that are
Right.
now in
Right.
place.
Right.
So a single
current
teacher
reality.
negotiated agreement is not gonna allow us to move buses around.
No, it's gonna allow you to move staff around.
Right, teachers around. So why don't we just say for deploying allow for teachers?
I don't think that's the hangup that Dan's talking about. I think
Oh.
it's single,
Well, he
a
says-
teacher negotiated agreement. You're talking about negotiating an agreement with teachers. But the way it's worded is,
No, this is saying that if there was one
Yes.
agreement.
I understand what it's.
Okay.
Right, but Selena's point is good. This is describing a barrier, an existing barrier.
Right.
Rather than a solution to that barrier, so,
So multiple teacher agreements.
Yeah, we don't have a single
Don't
teacher.
allow.
negotiated.
Does not
There
allow
we go.
for employees.
Is single teacher agreement a recognized term? See, as a layperson, that confuses me a bit.
Yeah. It's,
Or what if would it be permissible to say single common teacher agreement or something, or?
Well, what did you just come up with?
But the point being that you have one agreement in all three towns.
Yeah, we're kind of here.
Well,
Hang on, if everybody could hold on 1 second.
Something like multiple teacher agreements do not allow for deploying resources in ways that best meet
Yeah,
challenging student
it
needs.
needs the do not, does not,
Yeah,
Right.
do not in there.
So listen to this again, and then we'll talk about this recommended change.
Multiple teacher agreements do not allow for deploying resources in ways that best meet changing student
Yeah.
needs and, right?
That's okay.
Okay, Randy.
no, we're all reading this wrong.
No.
Because the lead-in sentence says, and maybe this is where we need to change it. The governance structure with 3 separate boards presents barriers to further improvements in student opportunities. What these underlying bullet points are referring back to are the further improvements that could be possible with one governance structure. So, the further improvements such as single teacher negotiated, attracting quality. So if we're gonna modify anything, we need to modify the lead-in sentence.
So it is solutions, or improvements.
Correct,
Possible.
rather than
Okay.
negatives, positive,
Got it.
yeah.
So maybe adding the word "a" at the beginning
A at the beginning of what?
of that bullet. A single teacher
Yeah,
agreement
yeah.
would allow for deploying resources in
Yep.
way.
Yep.
Dan,
Is
do you
that
think
better?
that?
I still think though that the lead-in sentence could make it
Up
clear.
top?
Yes, I think it could be edited to make it clear that these were solutions to.
Right.
To what they feel is our existing barriers.
John,
Randy.
Period, you just say solutions such as.
how about if you said the current governance structure with 3 separate boards present barriers to further improvements?
I think that's good.
Carol, hang on to your thought for 1 second.
And this is about the potential
Potential
opportunities.
improvements.
Okay.
So can you read that, John? Or
Well,
don't you
what
have
I'm
it?
hearing is we need something in here that says these are the opportunities.
Mm-hmm, exactly.
While
Well, we
WCSU
got
has
more-
taken positive steps, the current governance structure with 3 separate boards presents barriers to further improvements in student opportunities.
Yeah, see
Comma.
Hang-
Comment
oh,
after
hang-
opportunities.
Yeah, we get too many chefs, hang on just 1
And then we
second.
need to say potential opportunities such,
Potential
okay, or,
yeah, something like that.
Let me have him read it back, and then let's talk about where we are now. So give me 1 second, sir. Are you all set?
well, WCSU has taken positive steps. The current governance structure with 3 separate boards presents barriers to further improvements in student opportunities, such as,
Well, that's what we have now.
That's what we have now, yeah.
put a comma, and then a single teacher agreement would allow for deploying resources in ways that best meet changing student needs and attracting.
Okay. Hang on, people. You first, then Carol second.
The first sentence states that you're about to list 4 barriers, whereas I think, if I understand you correctly, you're listing 4 solutions. So you still don't have the first sentence right.
You could read it,
Go ahead, Carol.
I was gonna say, some people are reading it as a list of barriers, and some people are reading it as a list of improvements. So there needs to be a period after opportunities, and then you need to put a sentence that says we're listing improvements, suggested opportunities or suggested
Yeah,
improvements.
that's probably the best solution.
Mm-hmm.
Period.
Okay, so do you have that, have you written that in yours, that you can read it to him?
To further, okay, so you end opportunities, put a period, and then say follows are a few suggested opportunities or something. I don't know, that's not very good, but something like that.
The following are suggested opportunities.
Yes.
How about just period after opportunities, and then possibilities for opportunities include.
Yes.
Mhm.
And now everything needs to be written in a positive note, not, does not allow for, we have to take
A
that
single
out.
teacher negotiation agreement to allow for deploying resources and weight, that's a positive.
I would say
Attracting
a
quality
single
teacher
teacher,
pool.
then it's clear as to what you're talking about, a single teacher negotiated.
And then everything's positive after that.
Correct. They're not barriers.
Right, they're all positives. Dan,
Are we done with that one?
well, no,
Okay.
I want to just.
Stay here.
Hang tight on your thoughts for a sec.
Yep.
So is everybody okay with that, the way
That's
we
better.
changed it now?
That's better.
Is there any more discussion on this one? You guys in the audience all set? Okay. You have another one on this page, Dan?
Yeah, the next one, attracting quality teacher pool. A number of people commented that Marlboro has always attracted people from Brattleboro, and that is our pool. And any number of those people wrote in and said they would go to Marlboro because they want to go to Marlboro from Brattleboro, but they don't want to go to Dover and they don't want to go to Wardsboro. Yeah, believe it or not. So I think that I would like to see that somehow modified so that Marlboro would still be able to
I
work
think-
with the pool.
Now,
that we
remember,
currently
one of
have, so.
these things is quality teacher pool, especially in, these are the positions that we don't have usually a person that's full-time. And, you know, that has been a problem in other schools and has been a problem here where I need a half-time or a third-time Spanish teacher. Or, you know, and then it's not as big a pool, but if we can say, I think this is trying to say, if we could have a full-time Spanish teacher, but you're gonna split your time in 3 different schools, now you've got a full-time job. You're not working 3 part-time jobs, or trying to balance a schedule between, and I think that's what we're trying to say in that sentence. So how do we clean it up to make it say that?
Well, I understand that, I can understand the concept, but the largest majority of the people who are working in Marlboro now and have worked in Marlboro have been people who work part-time in Brattleboro and part-time in Marlboro. And I would hate to see that disappear. For them to become full-time employees, they're not interested in becoming full-time employees of a new district.
You know.
You don't know that?
You don't know that.
We do know that. We got
Yeah.
several responses saying exactly that here.
Okay,
Sue
Randy.
Aldrich was one of them.
So this isn't a barrier, so let's talk about it.
I think you want to purposefully be vague with this one, because this is one of those issues where you don't want to tie the new board's hands. And yeah, you guys may have a great pool of people who shuttle between Marlboro and Brattleboro, and Dover has teachers that shuttle between here and Grafton, or between here and Townsend. So you don't want to tie that group's hands by specifying that however you would, I think you're just going to make it more
And
complicated.
remember, this is a report, this isn't the articles.
Right.
Mhm.
This is just these are some of the things we discussed. So
We
it
can
doesn't mean
improve
that everybody, this is some people report it. Not everybody, it's not a majority. Are we okay with that? If we,
Well, could I propose then
Yeah,
that
propose something.
in that same sentence, then we say, the individual schools may continue to work with existing or with people coming from Grafton, for instance, to Wardsboro, and coming from Brattleboro to Marlboro.
Well, I have to agree with Rich, this is not the article, so why would we put it in
Mhm.
here?
Mhm.
It-
Well, I don't think it's saying specifically one of the 3 schools either. I mean, it's saying that all 3 schools
Mhm.
why would we not want to attract high-quality teachers in any one of the 3 schools, regardless of which direction they're coming from? It's not specifying a direction, it's not specifying a school. It's specifying that all 3 schools want to attract
Mhm.
highly qualified teachers, and that should be a goal regardless of whether or not we're unified, and regardless of what direction they're coming from.
I think the worry or the comment perhaps came from people that the idea of the creating of this district would enhance opportunities for schools to get better teachers, and they were just saying that's not necessarily the case, and that it's not gonna, this implies that it'll change. And I think they're just saying it's not necessarily gonna change what any of the schools do. Is there a place for it here? Because from their point of view, it's not gonna make that much difference where we hire those people from. And so maybe it doesn't belong in here at all.
well, remember, this is a report, this is not the articles, and all this is saying, this is something that was discussed by the group.
Yeah, there is language in the articles about honoring existing
Right.
contracts and relationships, so nobody's job is being threatened at this point.
What if we, can I make a suggestion, an editing suggestion? What if we say retain and attract? Because it's about retaining what we have
Perfect.
and attracting
Yeah,
new.
yeah, that works.
Mhm.
It says it later on in there. I mean, it says at the bottom that attract and retain high-quality teachers. What if we just,
Mhm.
have
Put it
that
here too.
Yeah.
at the beginning, because we wanna,
Yes.
Is there something in the introduction somewhere that we should let readers know that the reason a lot of this information is in there is to make the state happy so that they know we're doing everything we can to put a good merger proposal together?
I think that's our job at the community
Yeah.
meetings.
Yeah, because
Because
this is
okay.
actually the report to the AO.
Because it's the report to the state, you know what I mean? So someone, as the public, may not appreciate that that's why that's in there.
Yes, Lauren.
Maybe we wanna do, after we're done with this, a report to the public.
Yeah.
About our work.
Maybe that's enough.
Well, we're also we
gonna
have
have
to
to do
talk
that.
about our public meetings, so
We're
I
gonna
think
have to do
that's,
that.
right.
So maybe that's where that goes,
Yeah.
a comment like that, sorry.
I think you're right. I mean, I think maybe even just a sentence at the beginning, because members of the public reading this will get, and did, and that's why Dan got so many comments, got completely bogged down in this initial statement saying, much of which seemed to be telling us over and over again what a great thing this was, and we were looking for the reasons, or saying, but we already have that. Why are you, we already have that in Dover or Marlboro. So I think an initial statement on the front page saying, this is what's going to the state,
Well, the other
might
thing,
be helpful.
the other thing too, though, is, remember, this is looking down the future too. And, we have one school in our district that, has 6 phantom students, so that means that school is losing a lot of students every year. In 10 years, is that school still gonna be able to be maintained? We don't know what's gonna happen in our towns, but we know statewide trends is the numbers are falling off a steep curve. And, that's one of the things is 10 years down the road, there may, we have 90 students, you folks have 90 students, Wardsboro has 60, there may be 90 students in all 3 buildings, we don't know, and remember, we're also trying to project down the road. Randy?
I think there's a simple solution, what you said, go back to page 1, WCSU, Elementary Act 46 Study Committee Report to the Agency of Education.
Yeah.
Just throw it right there.
That's all you
Okay.
gotta do.
That's all you gotta do.
That's all you gotta do.
Simple, easy. Right, John?
Nice
John
job,
just
Randy.
did it.
That's why I think a lot of the confusion is.
Yeah.
I think we're
Dan,
gonna see
are
a
you
lot
all
of
set
these
on that
questions.
I think so, yes.
Leading
Yeah.
Okay.
It's
If
the state
every-
board, but yeah.
Stephen?
Yeah,
Last
whatever.
clarification, did we get retain and
I think so.
Sorry.
Retain and attract quality teacher pool.
Yeah, and then I think we delete the repetition.
Right.
Into that.
Yep, agreed.
I do.
Okay, so page 8, yes, are you on page 8 or 9?
No, I just have an overall suggestion. Perhaps the version that goes to state doesn't need a table of contents, but the version that's posted for
You
the
really
public
like that
to.
table of contents, don't you?
I like tables of contents.
Facts.
So it just says pages 1 through 6, an overview of what the committee did, pages yada yada through yada yada, the actual articles that are gonna be voted and so forth. So it's not necessarily a new page to the report, it's just a
Me? No.
preface that is available in the document that's available to the public.
Okay.
Thank you.
John said okay.
I'll help.
Okay, page 8. Page 9. Page 10.
Hang on a second.
Oh, page 9.
I'm not sure, but let me, because unfortunately I had made notes.
Do you want
things
the
that were-
hand, you want the?
No, this is fine, this works fine, till the batteries go dead.
Okay.
Then I'll come over and get it, yeah.
If I can talk about it.
Are you,
I think I'm okay.
okay, so page 10. Page 11. Page 11, yes, Dan.
Sorry, hang on, I'm trying to collate the things that I've been, gotten feedback from.
Somebody's back is stiff, someone will
Yeah.
Katie's chair.
Yep.
We all have these. Look,
Here.
So you're on page 10 then, Rich, is that
I was to page 11.
page 11?
You have anything from page 10?
I had a comment that someone felt like the graphs
I saw that in there.
Pages 13, 27, and 28, okay, so
Okay,
that's
so-
not till we get to 13.
So let's go page 11. Everybody with bated breath.
Somebody complained that Dover had too much money in the bank,
Yeah.
and I agree with
Wasn't
that.
somebody from Dover, I imagine.
However,
Wow.
if we merge, it's all of ours, right?
Yeah, that's gonna be a sticking point from the other direction.
Yeah, well,
Keep your mouth shut.
you don't want us to do that.
There's a reason Dover has money in the bank. And you guys could have money in the bank too. Every school could. Page 12. Just need to say yes on page 12, because page 13 we're gonna get stopped on. You shaking your head, do you wanna talk first?
On 13?
Yeah. You're shaking your head, I noticed you first. I'm gonna let Dan get caught up.
Yep, go for it, yep.
I would first like to say that I found this section the most
Which
helpful.
part?
The part that says, the governor's unification impacts on Act 46 goals.
Page 13 and 14.
Page 13 and 14.
Yeah.
It was just really nicely done, and I would direct anybody to look at that. I felt like it needed a few little tweaks to make it even easier, and I would
Okay,
make
so
some.
John spent a lot of time on this, and we thought he did a great job, so tell him where your tweaks were.
Okay,
We'll look at 12, 13, and 14 kind of together, because it's a
Okay.
whole chart, if that's okay with people.
I'll start with the top box, which is goal 1, equity of opportunity. There's a nice balance. You have aligned elementary school choice and then not aligned without investment in the transportation, so people can go back and forth. And then in the bottom, you have that the 7 and 8 in Marlboro would have the same choice as the current Wardsboro and Dover, because then the other side, it's either a pro or a con, but the 7 and 8 is not there. So the middle one, which is the programs of the 3 schools, could be shared across the schools. So this is the same one that and that doesn't have the sort of not aligned balancing. And it seemed to me that you needed to put in there that for programs to be shared, you would either have to implement them in all the schools, or you would have to, it would cost the towns money because you would have to transport people back and forth. So that it was going to be, in order to have the unique programs of the 3 schools shared across the schools, which is what you have as a positive, there was going to be a financial burden somehow to do that.
Okay, John, do you want to comment on that, because you kind of did this chart.
Well, the intent wasn't to have 3 and 3, so if there's some part of this that's not aligned with Act 46, we can put it in, but I
So
just need to know what that is.
So the financial burden of sharing the programs across the school, this is not the place to put that in? That you can't.
We don't know if it's gonna be a financial burden.
It has to be
One of the things
somehow.
One of the things that the committee talked a lot about was the difference between equal or same and equity. And that the programs wouldn't necessarily be the same in all 3. In fact, part of the goal the committee said was we want to retain the focus of the 3 schools. That was really a big, so it's not necessary that, I mean, I've never heard the committee say we wanted the same thing at every school. That would be if you had IB and the.
Then why would you put that they are shared in the left hand?
We didn't say they would, they could.
And shared doesn't necessarily mean that they exist in totality in each one, so if that was confusing, we should change that language.
It's confusing, because I think if you're a voter in one of the towns, you might think, oh, I live in Wardsboro, but my kid's gonna be able to get violin lessons now. Just like you could look at this and say, my kid lives in Marlboro, now he's gonna be able to play soccer in Brattleboro, which would be true. But it's not necessarily true that the kid in Wardsboro will be taking Spanish lessons. So I think it's misleading in terms of opportunities, that you have the programs shared
Okay.
for a public.
Yeah, hang tight there for a sec, okay?
Okay.
I'd like to hear from the board. Is there anybody on the board that would like to either say why or why not we could change that?
Well, it seems to me that we could resolve this by putting either aligned with or not aligned, that there would be, if in fact, let's say, violins is shared across all 3 schools, there would be a cost associated with that, and that would have to be accepted as, by the board at that point. But the taxpayers shouldn't go into this thinking that everything will be at all schools without any increased costs.
More,
So,
and then Celine,
Just-
and then, go ahead.
because it's helpful for me to remember this, if, when we get through all of this, and if our voters agree to this, and if we have one board, we are also gonna have one budget for all 3 districts, which will now be one district, one board, one budget. So, I mean, that board, and the, we have the need to have equity. So violin would have to be available to all the kids, and the board would have to make that available to all of the kids.
Or not available to any.
But equity is not the same. Equity doesn't mean everything has to be the same.
No,
because-
but I mean, if a kid, if one of the kids is in Dover and they wanna do violin program, you know, I mean, they'd be able to access it. Doesn't mean they have to, or they would, but they could, right?
Randy, I got Celine, Dwight, and you.
Okay.
Celine.
Well, I was just gonna say that financial restraints are the problem of the new board, they're not necessarily, has nothing to do with not being aligned with Act 46,
Right.
which is what the other side of the thing is.
Right.
I'm just thinking some wordsmithing here, maybe, the unique programmings of the 3 schools have the potential to be shared across, or something about, I mean, basically, I think what we're actually trying to get at is that the pre-K 6 students that are housed within the separate buildings have school choice as well within the 3 schools. Should we just say that?
Or that says that somewhere else.
It says that somewhere else.
Or maybe, whatever you said, Selena, the unique programs of the 3 schools may be shared across the schools, but there could be financial impact from that
How about if
sharing.
all
Well,
students?
hang on, folks. Are you all set?
Sure.
Okay. Well, you have, Randy, you had.
I just think we wanna be careful thinking through this too far.
Yeah.
You know, because, yeah, I don't wanna speak for a future board, but sure, there could be violin lessons in all 3 schools, and there could be a teacher that rotates between the 3 buildings. I mean, that's a simple solution, and there may not be an extra cost for that, because that may be something that's already being paid for in a current budget that could actually be spread out over 3 towns. So I think we wanna be careful with that. And I think in some ways we have to keep it more vague.
And maybe the not align with Act 46 is if you don't align and you lose your small school grant, you may not have violin anyway.
There you go.
Yeah,
There's a
exactly.
lot of
Lots
programming.
Dan, comment? You lost?
Well, I was just gonna propose that that if programs are shared, that there's going to be a financial impact to that.
Well,
Right in that
so
same sentence
if
there.
you wanna do a not align with Act 46.
No,
you
I'm
could
not
have-
saying-
No,
this would
I'm
be-
just,
yeah.
I'm bringing it down one.
Yeah,
So the opposite unique programs of the 3 schools could be shared across the schools. Not aligned with Act 46 is the school loses their small school grants or phantom students, and they have to
Programs
increase
could
their
be
tax rate
yeah.
to maintain the programs they now have.
no, my proposal would be that it would be in the alignment with Act 46, but just so
Okay.
the taxpayers know, if they're looking at this and saying, okay, everybody will have everything, it's probably gonna cost some money.
If you added that have the potential to be,
Mhm.
is that?
So, I have a suggestion.
Yes, Laura,
How
what would you
about-
suggest?
Okay. How about if all students will have access to the unique programs of the 3 schools?
Is everybody okay with that?
Can you say that one more time?
All students would have access to the unique programs of the 3 schools. Because that is, I mean, we are saying they'll have choice between the 3 schools, right?
I just think that's
Stay
a
away-
big
I'd stay
decision
away
to
from
say.
that. I would
if
stay
you're
away
gonna
from
say
that
it.
wording.
But it's not
It's
in
not
the
a small
articles.
thing.
It's not in the articles, it's in the report.
However,
The
the article,
potential.
you can't necessarily
But-
go to another school unless
Yeah.
there's room there.
I would really stay away from that.
I'm not saying necessarily stay away,
Mhm.
it's just that it's a big thing, I don't want you to
Mm-hmm.
I
do that
think,
lightly.
I think saying there is potential.
and the potential
It's
is fine.
not tying you to anything.
Mhm.
necessarily, it's saying that there's an offer. And again, this is the report.
Yeah, again, this isn't tying anybody to
Right.
anything.
Okay, Lucy?
What I like about what you said is that it goes back to saying that we're recognizing the unique qualities of each school instead of putting everything out there across the board. And that everything we do here keeps weighing those two things. Is this a unique structure in this school, or is it available in every school?
So my comment would be, we've gone through these several times, we've discussed these, we're pretty happy with it. You make a very valid point. We need to make a note of that, and we need to be able to explain that. I don't know, we're not gonna be able to answer, nobody's gonna be able to pick this up and have every one of the questions answered. We've already decided on that. I think we could spend a whole bunch more time on this. I don't think we're gonna get it any better without maybe getting ourselves in deeper somewhere. I would just like to move on. I'd like to leave it as it is and just go forward, but you guys tell me what you wanna do. Up to the board, folks.
The unique programs of the three schools have the potential to be shared across the three schools.
Everybody okay with that?
Sure.
Does that work for you? Okay, can we make that one change?
Done.
That doesn't do much. Okay, you have the floor, so where do you wanna go next?
It's a question, actually.
Yep.
So in this, this is what would change, so, because the next one, in terms of goal 2, achieve or exceed, these things that are aligned with Act 46, most of them seem to me to already be in effect in our Wyndham Central Supervisory Union. So it seemed to me like it was extra words or a moot point.
But not everybody knows that we're aligned with Wyndham County, so it's a chance
Yeah.
for them to learn.
But it's not gonna change because we're, right? Is that?
Well, hang on,
But-
so,
but it-
okay, so your comment is under goal 2, you're not sure, you think it's already happening.
Right.
Okay, Randy, you wanna comment to that? And then we'll get to you,
You're
sir.
probably right, but the reality is, part of our charge is to show to the State Board of Education that we have considered all of these things. So it has to be in there, it really does.
Yeah, I think the stated intent is just to list the most significant impacts.
Okay, you still have the floor, go ahead.
And I'm saying that that's not an impact of what you're doing, because we're already doing it, but that's
Well,
fine if you want to.
We don't have a shared teacher sub-pool, each school has their own sub-pool.
Oh,
so-
well,
Yeah.
no, well, we use some from WCSU.
Right, and some schools have their own, and some schools have this people that will only sub in Marlboro, and that will only sub in Dover and Wardsboro.
Yeah.
So it's, it's,
Well, yeah, it's.
and it says more easily. It
Um,
doesn't say that it's not being done now, it says it'll be more easily, because it'll all be one group of people. It's not 3 different schools that we gotta get Marlboro to align their day off with Dover and Wardsboro so they can all get together. They're all gonna be under one calendar. But you can just throw your hand at me, but that's what's gonna happen, it's gonna be one school system.
But it doesn't matter. Could you clarify what increasing the accuracy of standards-based reporting system would improve efforts for improvement means?
Sure, I can do that. The report cards, standards-based report cards are still in their infancy. And there hasn't been a lot of defining to what each means, what each standard means. And Tammy, speak up if I'm out of bounds, but this is what I understand. Hasn't been a lot of defining about what they mean, or consistency across how you assess them, timing of reporting them, and then more importantly, what you do when you review that information for different students. In other words, you review who's meeting the standards, which teachers are able to be more successful with standard 4, and so that we want to take them and say, look, you've nailed standard 4 with your kids consistently, so help us improve everybody who's having trouble with standard 4. So both of you speak up if that's even close to where you are.
Well, Marlboro has not been using the standards-based report card.
Maybe that's why I didn't understand that comment.
But I think, didn't we hear last night that there's gonna be training now
in Power School.
Yeah.
Power School for the schools that are, but that has not changed where we stand on it at this time.
Okay, next comment.
Okay.
You're good on that, so you're good on
Yeah, 'cause
13, 14?
So I should maybe say increasing the use and accuracy of the standards.
Well, that'll be the decision of the new group, whether they want to use it or
This is
not.
just potential though, this is what.
Aren't you all gonna have to
Potential is
use it
good.
eventually?
Well, some people don't think so, that'll be the decision of a new group.
Hot potato, okay.
I guess it was the efforts for improvement that was one of those word things that was making me.
So do you want to change a word in there?
Um,
Yeah,
I'm sorry, where,
suggestion.
where is this right
this is at the very bottom of page 13 and the top of page 14, the final bullet.
Right after teacher sub.
Oh, right,
Yeah.
that's what's the page there.
Improving improvement was
Increase,
I just,
increase,
um,
expand efforts.
Oh, I see.
Well, we have increase in the top too.
You were splitting hairs here.
but it's fine.
Okay, so you're okay with
I'm
it?
fine.
I was
Thank
gonna
you
say
for
student
bringing it up.
learning. How about for student learning?
He's an engineer, he
He
said
admitted
so.
as much.
If it was
I
in the article
confessed.
itself, I might.
Okay, so are you good on 13 and
I'm
14 then?
I'm fine.
Dan, go ahead.
No, I'm set.
Oh, you're all set, anybody
Yeah.
else? Yes?
So I'm reading through the comments that were shared. I have respondent F, and they refer to pages 13 and then 27 and 28, so we'll come back to it.
Yeah.
At the very end, and I think the person is just kind of venting a little bit, but then the last sentence says, at this point, the presentation is too one-sided on the side of savings, which brings me to what you were saying, Richard, that maybe within these charts where we talk about alignment with and not alignment with Act 46, maybe we do need to say something here about the losing of small school grants and what that will
Well,
mean.
see, that's on the top of page 12. We show actually what the small school grant is, so maybe under there, we can just say, if not aligned, if this merger doesn't go through, that there's the possibility the small school and phantom students will go away.
Well, just something that so
both
people
work.
understand that we're not just saying, here's all the pluses, but they need to also understand that, you know, some people think it's this or you get to stay the same, and it's not. It's this or, you know, option one, option two is what Anita had, you know, pointed out to us, that we need to be clear to voters that it's option one, option two. And that somewhere in here, maybe we need to communicate that what can happen to programs
Okay.
if we don't save money somewhere.
Okay, Randy.
I don't read their comment the same way.
You don't? The
I think
last
they're
bottom of
concerned
page?
about, I think they're concerned about potential spending increases on a new district, not about
Oh,
loss of grants.
that's how you read it? Okay.
That's how I read it.
Okay.
And we can't go there.
And we can't go there.
Right, yeah.
Well, I read it that, that this person read that and said, but it looks to me by reading it carefully that my taxes could easily go up, but you're not saying that anywhere.
That's what I read. That's what I'm saying.
Okay.
That they're saying, you're only telling us how this is great, and I'm trying to say, well, yeah, we're trying to say how it might work, but what you also need to know is, if you lose your small schools grant, what that's gonna mean to your programming.
And the chart on top of page 13 shows the impact, you know, changing unified district, and so.
All
but-
right, maybe it's there. I'm just thinking, because someone didn't think it was clear, so I'm,
And
I was just trying to
again,
help you, Dan,
I
sorry.
really believe that you're not gonna be able, this is gonna create questions.
Yep.
Just like you've had.
Yep.
And I really believe that this is not, you can't hand this to somebody and say, just like you can't get that little card in the mail from 20 different times from the candidate saying, vote for me because of this, and you're not, you know, nobody votes for them because everything on the card, I would hope they don't, I hope they go and research, you know, what that really means. I think this also, you know, has to be done with, and we've all had the benefit, and a lot of you folks have had the benefit of participation. I think it really is something that it's gonna have to really be explained to, and that there's gonna be a lot of questions, and I'm feeling really comfortable because although there's been a lot of questions, there hasn't been a lot of questions on substance parts. There's been some questioning on a little bit of wording and clarity, and I feel pretty good about that, and I think that's a compliment to the engineer to my right.
I just want to say, I think respondent F, because I may have did edit out some of it. I think the central point that they were making was that, that it's impossible to predict much of anything. And I actually think John has been good about that, about saying, all I can tell you is what it looks like right now. And we're not even going 1 year down the road. So I think that's good. It'd be an important part of the PR campaign,
Yeah.
but also make sure that, that everybody understands that there was no attempt to predict what's gonna happen next year.
And we, you know, that was one of the things, remember the Bud slides,
Right,
and Laura,
yes.
you know, the concerns we had when,
Yeah.
you know, he's showing
Yeah.
the standard increase, the standard reduction in student, yeah, you're shaking your head, but,
Yeah.
you know, I mean, it's hard, you can't predict, all he's showing is this is what it would look like if that happened,
Right.
Randy.
I just, you know, I think I'm coming from a different perspective, because in Dover, the school board every year at the town meeting does a really good job of explaining where we are financially, where we would be without the small school grants, where we would be if we don't do this, where we'd be if we don't do that. And I don't know if you guys do that or not,
Yeah,
hopefully you do.
absolutely. Yeah.
You know, so it's kind of second nature to me to hear it. When I saw that, it instantly sort of clicked with me, oh yeah, this could be trouble. You know, but everybody's different in terms of how they understand it.
So I think we're all good with the introductory stuff, everybody, the summary in the front. So why don't we move to the articles? And I think I'm gonna take the engineer's suggestion. So we've already done Article 1, but we're gonna still call it Article 1, necessary advisory school districts.
Yeah, just to stay in order.
Yeah, so does anybody, I mean, we've hashed that out, it's changed a few times.
This is now Article 2, right?
Yeah, but don't
Just-
confuse us.
Don't confuse them. Just stay with Article.
Okay, so anybody from the public could comment on Article 1? Article 2, comments? Let's go to page 16, Articles 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Dan, you got any of those?
Well, people pointed out the obvious, that transportation isn't easy, and
Yeah.
we shouldn't be so glib about it, but I think that that's accepted in here too.
Any, go ahead. Yep,
It just seems to.
which one?
The transportation.
Yep,
It just doesn't really seem to say anything except for we're gonna do it. And I feel like it's a, never mind, yeah,
yeah, it's gonna be the new board that's gonna decide how,
Yeah.
and it's gonna be with input from you sitting in the audience, or you sitting up here telling,
Is it
Taking
going, it
input.
says here it's gonna be provided by the Wyndham Central Supervisory Union.
that's required by state law now.
Okay,
It is currently.
Right.
Okay.
We have a waiver, the guy behind you got us a waiver for a few years, we don't know how many
Finessed a
more
number
years.
of things.
Yeah.
That's like the last thing you did.
Those days are.
Are you okay with that?
Right.
Okay, so let's go to page 17, Article 9.
Actually, can I jump back to Article 5?
Yeah.
Curriculum alignment.
Article 5.
I'd like to call on Steve John's expertise here. How many different mandates have we had, federal and state, over the years? Do we need to put the name of the one that we're currently living with in the articles? Because we know it's gonna change. It was, for a while, it was, you know, over the years, changed so many times.
Talk about the state test.
Now it says in capital states, education quality standards.
Yeah, those are adopted by the state board.
Yeah, but
I
they're,
think-
but are they gonna be still called that in 2 or 3 years, or is it gonna
They've
be
been
called
calling it for a
something
long
else?
time, they
Yeah.
changed them, but they call it the
They
same
call them
thing.
the
Yeah, they-
same thing?
Yeah,
I
they
think
just,
they're in statute, aren't they, that name in
well,
statute?
the name's in statute, perhaps, I
Yeah.
can't say, John, for sure, but the content has changed, and certainly that's the prerogative of the board, just as
Yeah.
our new board, or these, your individual boards now, make changes within the same policy name or whatever.
Well, as long as the name has been the same for a number of years, then I'm comfortable
Yeah,
with it. If
I
it's
think we're
continually changing.
secure there.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, so, Article 9, I didn't hear any comments on. Article 10, which is 2 pages. Okay, then we're going to page 18, we got Article 11 and 12 on the top of 13.
I have a
Yep,
board
which
question.
one?
No, just in general, when this comes before the district for voting, will it be separately warned articles, or all the articles
No,
warned together?
It will be warned as on the ballot.
As one
and
article.
There'll be certain things on it. We still have to work on the ballot.
Okay, so, but it won't come as
20 pages?
Well, no, just,
No.
you have how many articles? 10, 12? But it's not gonna be 12 different vote.
No, it should be 2 articles.
It'll be 2 articles.
You don't like that?
First one is, has which, there's 4 or 5 things that have to be in it.
Mhm.
And which grades, there's a few other things, so that'll be there. And the second article has to do with electing board members.
And one of the things, so because you haven't been to all the meetings, but if you really wanna watch them on TV, they're really good. One of, there are,
I'm glad that my son did.
I watch them all the time.
Here's a,
There are several,
Fell asleep.
there were several, hey folks, ouch.
You asked for that, don't you?
There were several things that we did discuss as a group that we wanna make sure is in the ballot to make it very strict, and one of those things is no building will be closed in a town without the positive vote of the town. I think there was one other thing that we, no, maybe
no,
that
that was.
the most important thing, so that will be in the ballot, because that makes it harder for a future group to do that, so, right, so that we have tried to really think through.
I just wondered if these, because you have them separated
Yeah.
articles, so I thought maybe.
This is how the state wants to see it. Page 19, Dan, go ahead.
Well, I got confused, and I apologize for this. Is it mandated that this be Australian ballot?
Yes.
Okay, I thought I had spoken in favor of Australian ballot, and
You
then,
did.
and I thought you had spoken in favor of not doing Australian ballot.
At meetings in the future.
Meetings in the future, okay, so everything.
And that was Carol and I got
Right,
an argument.
yeah, yeah.
We
We
still
always
have to have a
argue.
conversation about that.
So the,
We're still gonna have another
You
conversation.
and me, just you and me. It's
Okay.
okay. We're gonna have heart to heart on that one.
so there's basically as much built into this to be done from the floor as is possible with state statutes.
Yes. So page 19, everybody good?
I think I have
Yes.
I don't have the most recent copy, but the Article 14, school choice, I know Selena had mentioned something about clarifying.
15, school choice.
15, is it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Has that been changed from last, has that changed from the last meeting?
In order to close an existing elementary school,
We had mentioned something about clarifying that.
well, that's hardly school choice, what is that even doing?
This is at the 7 through 12 though.
The unified district will pay tuition for students in grades 7 through 12 pursuant to statute. Oh, this
Yeah, the
should,
title.
School continuity. Did you break this
It
into
got-
2?
I think,
Right,
yes.
Yeah,
Wait, we're talking
you broke it
about
in.
changing
okay, so
it.
that needs to get, so
So
you'll
I'll
fix that.
I'll fix that.
Okay, that's just, that's the engineer making a mistake.
So Rich, you're saying that where it says Article 16, school continuity, that should be after the unified district will pay
No,
7
that's
to
school
12
choice.
before-
Article 15 should be that one sentence.
one sentence, and then Article 16 starts
The headline.
where it says
there.
the unified school
Yeah.
district board.
Yes.
Okay, thank
Just
you.
move the headline.
Correct.
Uh,
He's looking at
I'm
it.
trying to make sure where the elementary school choice is and make sure that that's
Yeah, I thought it was
squared
here.
away.
That's in school attendance, Article 17.
Oh, okay,
Oh,
coming up.
okay, we're not there yet.
Okay,
Does it-
so I'll fix those. This is
Okay,
an
so yes.
organization, it's not an issue.
Right.
We're confusing elementary.
Dwight, go
I
ahead.
think it's coming back to me,
7, 12.
Article 14 for school choice.
Well, school choice is Article 15, so.
Okay, I'm looking at it.
Right,
all
right,
right,
yeah,
so
right.
but I think the line, we wanted to make that, clarify that a little bit better in terms of how that goes about, that the.
No, we said that it's state law.
I know it's
dictates
state
that.
law, but we were saying it still had to be voted on.
But that's what the state law says.
I know, but this is what we talked about at the last meeting.
Yeah,
We
but-
thought we'd clarify that just so people who are reading this understand what the state law is.
Yeah, I think he's talking about that it has to be voted on annually.
No, I know, but,
Right, the law.
right, I thought at the last meeting, we decided since it's a state statute, we didn't need to put it in there.
Right.
It's,
I thought it
it's,
was-
I
Okay.
can
I thought it was-
add- I can
It's
add a
out of
I
little
thought it was
bit.
the other way around. I thought we had decided to
I
just be clarified
don't-
that a little bit more.
well, what we were talking about, Article 15, school choice, a unified district will pay tuition for the students, and somebody brought up the fact that, well, Dover pays more than
Right.
other schools, and we said, well, that's by statute, you have to vote on it every year.
So were we gonna add something in there at a rate to be set annually by the voters?
No, because that's what the
No.
law said,
But
we
just that
don't
it's,
need
just
to
as a
repeat
repeating
vote,
the
just that it's a
law.
separate
Okay.
vote, so they understand.
But I think that's confusing, because you don't have to vote a rate if you're not gonna make it a different rate.
No, I'm not suggesting that.
Right, that's, so if you put in there at a rate to be voted on, then you're saying that you have to every year have a vote. You may just decide that you're
Maybe
only
we're not
gonna,
gonna
doing it
decide not
anymore.
do it anymore.
Right.
Right.
Okay.
but then you'll have to have a vote every year and try to,
There's a default.
Right, I get it. Okay.
yes.
No, never mind.
I want to go back to
School choice
The-
or school
the
continuity.
article about the floor vote, because there was a Oh, yes, a comment that we've done everything by floor vote we can, and I think if you wanted to have well, the first one has to be by Australian ballot, but after that, the members could be voted from the floor.
Right.
Yeah, we talked about
We
that.
can make that decision at that time.
Okay, yeah, all right.
Okay, so let's go to page 20, which is Article 17 and 18. School attendance, local participation. Any comments, Dan, you good?
Hang on, catching up with you here, Rich.
Okay. Because page 21 is a really difficult page. There's gonna be a lot of comments.
Yeah, no, that all looks good.
It's empty.
Yeah, it's blank.
No. I'm thinking about opening up a can of worms.
Nah, no. You all set there? Public, any, while Dan's looking, does anybody,
Yeah.
what?
The choice,
What choice?
back on
Hang on a
15,
sec.
I'm still there.
Article 15.
We'll buy you. Go ahead.
There's a lot of activity happening right now with the State Board of Ed. I think the only way choice goes away is if there's a court case. But let's say there's a court case and choice goes away. Do we wanna say something about what our intention would be for our students?
No, because that'll be up to that group and it'll be up to the voters
Okay,
and that
okay.
board.
I
at
mean, we
that
talked
time
earlier about, we can't speculate.
to
Yeah,
decide.
no, okay.
So we
Just-
can't
But
speculate.
what you're
Felt like
saying is
you
a
needed to
real,
say it.
a
Yes.
real issue.
Yeah.
But the issue will be, because it's
It's
an
not
issue
for this
that
group,
we
but
would
it's
all
a- it's
face.
a big
If
issue.
it changes now, we don't do anything. We're all gonna have to make that decision as a group. Dan, you all set, sir?
Yes.
Okay, so I'm gonna skip over page 20. I got page 21 as a blank, that's why I
So
said
do
I have just one
Yeah.
question
on
about
page 20.
school attendance.
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, yeah.
Do,
I'm sorry. Skip.
is there anything about transportation, or is that just left up to the board?
That's covered in the transportation section.
So that, I'm just curious if someone from Wardsboro decides and is granted acceptance at Dover or Marlboro, who's responsible for that kid's transportation?
And that's gonna be a policy based on the new board. They can decide to include transportation, they can decide not to.
Pay parents a stipend.
Pardon?
They could pay parents a stipend.
Yeah. Page 22 is the attachments. Now these are attachments, so we went through the articles. The articles are all done. The attachments on page 22 and 23 and the top of 24, I hope there's not gonna be any that came directly from each building's administrator. So I would think that those are okay. I don't think anybody's, did you look at that, Frank? Did you get to look at yours? Were you okay with that in the article? Did you see anything that we missed or that you really wanted in there that we didn't?
in front of me now, but I
I know.
don't think so, I would have commented.
Okay, Matt, hang on, Lauren. Matt, is there anything you saw under Dover that we missed or you?
No, I went over this with John a couple of weeks ago.
There's a
Okay,
question we're resolving about the number of classroom teachers, but we'll take care of that.
Multi-classroom.
hmm?
Don't
The
we have one
FTEs.
multi-classroom?
Yeah,
It doesn't say that.
yeah, but we have the pre-K, the K.
But we're working on that. Make sure we've got that squared away.
Yep.
It notes in Wardsboro that they have 4 multi-age classrooms. It does not note that Marlboro has any multi-age classrooms, and it does not note that Dover has any multi-age classrooms. And what I'm saying is Dover has a multi-age classroom.
It's just more.
4 multi-age classrooms.
Okay, so
You have 4 multi-age classrooms and 1 regular or 1 straight?
So,
K.
so listen,
Kindergarten and then 4.
just,
multi-age.
I'm gonna make this one real, this year, hey, right? folks, Switching this is this gonna be really easy. Would all 3
Yeah.
principals please just look at this tomorrow and send John an email if there's anything you see that's missing there? I mean, I think.
The idea of trying to get them all to be as parallel as
Right.
possible.
So if you guys can just look at that, and I don't think we need to really spend a lot of time at that, I think we can let the professionals deal with that. Are you
Just
guys
look
all
at
good
it in
with
the
that?
document and not the shared
Right.
document, because this is pasted from there. Go right to the report.
So if nobody has a problem with
Which
that,
is where
public
you're
or
going.
anybody, we'll let the administrators just do that and it'll come out better. Attachment B is on page 24, and I think that goes to the end of the document, doesn't it? No, to page 27. So is there any comments on attachment B from the board first? Dan, I'll give you a minute.
I mean, these are John's thoughts, so
Yeah.
it's
Right.
hard for us to have comment on them, is what he
Right.
observed.
No, but if there's something maybe you want him to, that is confusing. Public, anybody, any thoughts, comments?
I didn't get attachments.
Pardon?
I didn't get
Oh, you
them.
didn't, here, do you want these?
I can look at Caroline's.
Okay. Is everybody okay to move on? Okay, let's move on. Attachment C is page 27 in the top of 28. This is the financial stuff that you kind of were asking, I think, about a little bit earlier. It actually lays out too exactly how much currently each school's doing.
So does that make, Rachel, did you print this off of the blog site? Is that where you
Peter
printed
printed it for me, so I don't know. Yeah, he probably went to the blog site.
Anita, are these attachments on connected to it?
Yeah.
All
Oh, wait,
29
yeah.
pages
I got
are
it.
posted.
I'm at the
Oh, here it
Yeah, it's a
is.
single
Here it is.
contiguous
It's just I had a
PDF.
blank page in between. I
Yeah,
know.
that was
Oh,
page
okay.
21.
Okay, never mind, I got it.
The whole
Okay.
darn thing.
I just wanted to make sure it was all.
Yeah, no, I just was
Okay,
thrown by
so-
that blank page.
So basically, the numbers here come from what the school districts have submitted, what the superintendent's office has and the state has. So unless there's a comment on the way it's laid out, I mean, the numbers are the numbers, we can't change them.
Ah, it's 116, I've been saying that.
Okay, so how about page 28 in the Dover financial data analysis, that last little bit? Basically, special education.
So are we good with addressing Dan's respondent F's concerns
I think so.
with the charts?
I didn't actually look at them, but Dan, you weren't going through it with us, so you get all your constituents' concerns?
Well, this person wasn't particularly clear, I guess. The three charts that the person mentioned, one was on page 13, and then two more, 27 and 28, which I guess is where we are now,
Yes.
says,
Probably.
Much
Mostly
of
on
the
tax
accompanying
receipts.
verbiage emphasizes savings to taxpayers. These are no doubt encouraging to taxpayers, but I believe putting these numbers out in the report is irresponsible. It is stated on page 12 that not only could the homestead tax rate go up in the absence of incentives, but that the analysis did not take into account the equalization of teacher salaries and benefits under a unified contract.
Right, and
There's more,
these,
I could go on.
but these basically aren't saying that, these are just saying, here's what it is, if you remove these grants, it will no longer be available if we don't do something.
Yeah.
That's all they say.
Well, and the person goes on to say, I realize it's difficult, if not impossible, to predict what the added cost would be in
Right.
2019.
So I think, again, this is one of those things that we just, when we meet with people, we have to say, hey, what this is we don't know, because this budget's gotta be formed by this new board, and it's gotta be voted on by you folks, and they'll have real numbers for you then, but right now, we know that comparing to this year, if we didn't have these grants, this is what it would look like. And it's,
Yeah, and I disagree. I don't think the presentation is too one-sided on the side of savings.
It
It
just-
just shows you, if you don't do anything, I mean, Wardsboro takes a huge hit. Marlboro in the middle. I mean, everybody takes a hit
Right,
if you do nothing.
right.
And that actually is a real number.
so,
Grants go away.
I will, I'm gonna say that when we went through the articles, I think we pretty well nailed them. And again, my only comment would be, even with some input, there were no substantial changes that we made. So you folks now need to decide are we, well, we gotta do the district name, so we have to put a district name in, but are we ready to, I think the
Can I-
question before we do the district
I just
name.
wanna make a comment.
Yeah,
I feel like, that a lot of the comment that we got was very helpful for us to actually there's so much to be gained from conversation. There's so much to be gained by talking and hashing all this kind of stuff out. So I think the public comment that we got really helped us realize that, at least I feel better tonight, like having Rachel here, answering some questions and getting some clarity around, and then these conversations don't stop. These conversations continue, and these conversations, and even if we're, gonna move forward and submit this, there are still opportunities here for changes, wordsmithing, tweaks if need be. But I think a lot of the confusion is coming from, it has been cleared up as far as we need to be clearer around saying that this is a report to the agency and that we're trying to, tick all the boxes so the agency knows what we're trying to do. And then what our job really is to be having candid conversations with our community members, with our constituents, and answering their questions and continuing to have this posted on the blog site so people can keep reading it. And it doesn't mean that we can't keep taking public comment, because we can. Public comment can keep coming to us until town meeting day.
yeah.
And it's our job to answer it, and it's our job to talk to people, and that's why, so I think that, public comment doesn't need to cease.
And if we find a huge hole somewhere that we really missed,
Yeah,
then
there's
we,
no
then
reason
we
why we
put the
can't
brakes
fix
on
it.
it, even though we voted on it, we can change it because we do have that ability to do that.
Just because we're sending it to the state on December whatever, doesn't mean that it's
That we're
gonna
done.
be engraved in gold and that's it. There is no reason for us to say that we can't.
But any substantial change would have to go back to the state again.
That's fine. If
Yeah.
we find something that happens that way.
We will
Yeah,
go back again.
exactly,
And
exactly.
who knows what they're gonna find? It may come
Exactly.
back from them.
Except we did do a preliminary review and we haven't
But
changed
even still,
stuff
Rich,
substantially
there
enough,
might be
right?
some, right.
Yeah, but I mean, I'm feeling pretty good if we were to submit these as they are, that we'll get approval. I'm gonna go with Caroline and then you, sir.
So we've revealed a couple of places where we need to have, an introduction, whether it's in meetings we have with our community, if it's with PR, or if it's, the next time we post this, we have an introduction. But I'm hearing, in reading through the comments that you received, Dan, that I think, in addition to people not realizing that this is something for the state to read, that we have to check off those boxes. The other big thing is about how this is just, looking at budgets at this point in time. They need to understand it's not a projection into 2019. And the other point, I think, is that how we have to be nebulous. We can't say Spanish, we have to say world language. We can't say, we shouldn't say strings, we should say just maybe music. But we need to explain to the voters that we have to be vague so that the board coming in has freedom to do as what they want at that point in time. Because I think that's where the other confusion is. When you read through the comments, that's a common denominator. I'm seeing people want to know how and why and details, and this isn't meant to show those details for a reason.
I was just gonna say, Randy had a really good analysis about this in the last meeting, where it's usually you go and you buy a house, and you're like,
Yeah.
I really like.
The backwards real estate transaction.
It's totally
Yeah.
what
We
this
wrote the
is.
purchase and sale first, and now we're gonna go look at the house and see if it's worth it or not.
Yeah.
Sir?
I think as a member of the public, I think my specific questions about the document have been addressed. I had a few general remarks. I, for one, was very skeptical about Act 46. I thought when they passed it, I questioned the motives of the legislature and also that it flew in the face of 240 years of Vermont history. I also was very apprehensive about the loss of local control, but I think attending a few meetings and reading about others, I'm now quite excited because you have 3 towns with school districts where the teachers and principals that I've known in the past are all very excited about the schools they work in. And the people are very dedicated to education, which is great. You have 3 contiguous towns that all are interested in retaining school choice, which I think is great. you've emphasized, and I think this is an important marketing point come March, that there's no intent to close schools and a strong intent to preserve the character of the 3 existing schools and just provide additional resources. So I think that's good. But also, I think that you are not diluting local representation, at least in Marlboro's case. Having a 9-member board, at least at the start, means that we have the same number of directors, and I think that just as you're a 9-member group,
Or actually 10 here.
or 10, okay, but you're not diluting local representation on this larger entity by the structure that you're recommending. So I just wanted to
Well, thank you.
mention those things.
Appreciate the comments. So let me ask this. I know Dan's brought up a little earlier about putting off a vote on these. What does the committee want to do? Do you want to vote on the articles tonight or not? And I'll just ask for a straw poll. Who is interested in voting on the articles tonight? Please just raise your hand. So I got 3, 4 people. Who is not
I'm kind of in the middle, honestly.
Okay, well, who's not interested in voting on them tonight? You got 1, 2.
Okay, fair enough.
Okay, so if somebody would like to make a motion to approve these articles and the summary as reviewed tonight with the changes that we made and John has. Whoever would like to make that motion?
I would like to make that motion.
Oh, I'm sorry,
No,
yes.
I'm not
Okay,
gonna
now
make
we gotta
that.
have fun.
Come
We
on
need a
back.
name for this
Come on
new
back.
district. I am
Take the
so
vote,
sorry.
take the vote first.
You almost got it in.
Yeah,
You
go ahead, 'cause we're gonna fight over that.
You almost got it in.
I shouldn't have said it.
Okay, so what do you, so let's have a vote.
All right.
Okay, so do I have a motion on the floor to approve the articles and the summary? Or the article and the report?
Laura made it.
Laura did, do I have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, I have a motion by Laura, a second by Selena. Is there any more discussion from the board?
Can I just ask a
Yes.
question? I think this is why I'm hesitating. So my question is, if we approve these tonight and then John makes his edits and he sends them back out to us for, one last quick through, can we make,
Yes.
is there still
Right
room
here.
for us to, so do we need to say in the motion?
No, because that'll be a separate
That'll be a
motion.
separate motion, okay, just because I wanna, make sure that if something pops up, that we still have the ability to say,
We will on minor things, not substance things. We can't,
Right. No.
we couldn't
And that's-
say that, hey, the town doesn't have to vote to close the
yeah,
school.
no, I'm not worried about, I think at this point in time, we've come to a point where there is no major things, it's all minor little wordsmithing things at this point, so I just wanted to make sure that we still.
Did you have a comment?
I just wanna say, I feel like this is a point, and I don't think we can go too much further in this phase, to sending this to the State Board of Ed. I do not by any means think this is the end. I think there is continued work, so I am supporting moving forward at this point with this, at this point where we're at, so.
Okay.
It's like submitting a first draft to your English teacher.
Mhm.
Randy?
Just more of a process question or concern. So we're gonna approve these tonight, they're gonna get drafted, they'll go around. At what point do the approved articles go up on the blog? Because there should still be, as soon as is reasonably possible, it should be updated to
I
reflect
would
what
think
we
as soon as
approved.
John gets them to us, they can go up on the blog.
Right, and they would be the articles as voted on at the meeting on
Yeah.
such and such a date by the members present, listed therefore as, here you go.
Okay.
Okay. Any discussion from the board?
Sorry, I got another one.
Yeah, nobody else? Last one.
So once we post something like this, I think it's important to actually make sure people understand the context of where we are.
What I was saying.
So that we are not at the end.
Right.
And
so
here is
that's
how-
just
here's the
important that
next
this
phase
is
for
not
you
the
to
end.
get
We're gonna get to
involved.
the next phase, so we'll just have to make sure we
Yeah,
put
like
that
we
in there.
can't,
Do you wanna talk about that?
Yeah.
Okay.
really.
But don't bother sending your feedback because we're no longer accepting it.
Yeah, no, we'll still take feedback.
Yes, we will.
Yeah, at least you do.
Yeah.
No, that's what he's
It
saying,
won't
we
affect
will,
the articles.
we will still take feedback.
Yeah.
Won't be able to change
Okay,
it, but-
Yeah.
any comments from,
Well,
before we vote, any comments from, yes?
Well, I just wanna make sure that Carol Ann's comment about a statement saying this is for the state and your suggestion of a table of contents is part of whatever goes up on the blog, to make it easier for the public to understand.
Those are the kinds of things I wanted to make sure that before we,
Yeah.
we're voting to approve with the changes and things that we made tonight.
Okay. Is there any other comments, Matt? And you're in the corner and I can't really see you all set. Okay. Yeah, you can take a picture, Matt. Okay, so hearing no further discussion, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions?
Abstain.
2 abstentions? Okay, so we have it passes with 2 abstentions, Peter. Okay, let's take a few minutes, and we had a whole bunch of names. So this one we're gonna have fun with. Somebody tell me which names that you guys really liked, or which one you didn't.
I came up with another one.
Oh, perfect, give it to us.
Put it out there.
Hey,
I
can
was
you
trying
write
to-
them on a board somewhere? Matt, can you write them on the whiteboard over there for us?
In
Too
Spanish.
many. There's not
No,
just one
write
yet.
them in English so I can read them.
Wait, I gotta find them.
Okay, so what do we have for possible names
There are 20 names.
that people like? Did you have one that, somebody give me one they particularly like, they'd like to put up there, seriously?
I have one. 3 Shining Stars United Union, it's called Tissue.
Okay.
I've changed, that's my
Is it
favorite now.
really? That's hilarious.
Hold, we gotta give Matt a second to get caught up.
Yeah.
I'll let him catch
Okay. 3 Shining Stars,
I can do that.
3 Shining Stars.
and it's called Tissue.
Oh, no,
To sue.
That seems to be
Okay, Randy.
disproportionately represented in the little
What did
list
Gussie
you
say
sent here
last
in
week?
town.
I gotta put this in context, because I floated these names around some of our staff today at the office, including some Dover voters and a parent who has a kid here in school. So the 3 Shining Stars definitely was the most popular, but the concern was if only 2 towns go in. So how about just the Shining Stars School District? Without the 3 or the 2, take a
So
number
just
out
put
of it.
Shining Stars, the Shining Stars.
So
Okay,
it's-
any other comments from the board? Any other ones that you wanna float that you really liked, that you wanna put up there?
I was trying to be
Blaine
cutesy.
was raising his
Oh,
hand.
I'm sorry.
I like the River
Go
Valley
ahead.
Unified
River Valley Unified.
Union School District.
Which one was the one that was like the BMW? BMW.
Instead of
DMW
River
or
Valley, I was
WMD.
going Green Mountain Unified.
WND.
You're probably not
Green
playing
Mountain
that.
Unified School?
Nothing that, oh, is there?
There's a mountain red already, yeah.
Wait, River Valley.
Is there?
Yeah.
Okay, so do you wanna do Green Mountain? Yeah, go ahead, Lucy.
It's the most boring, but I think says exactly what it is, which is the Wyndham Central Elementary.
Yeah.
Okay,
We can't-
you really can't do that
Can't
because
do
you're
that.
not elementary, you're really a
Oh.
Okay,
K-12.
we're, yeah.
Okay.
Wyndham West or Wyndham Central?
Wyndham
So
West.
we could be Wyndham,
Wyndham Central Unified?
well, yeah.
Isn't that kind of conflicting with the supervisory union?
Yes,
Yeah.
because there's still gonna be a supervisory
Mm-hmm.
union.
Wyndham West.
Okay, any more from
I
the
like
board?
Snow Valley.
Well, hang on, let me just get the boards. Does anybody else from the board want to throw anything else out?
I was trying to come up with a cutesy
Snow Valley.
thing, not cutesy,
Okay.
that's the wrong word.
You have one?
Well, so using the acronym EDU, we're educational districts that are unified, we are, I don't know, I was trying to come up
Right,
with something.
EDU. We like that.
Because
I'm gonna
that's
vote for that
basically
one.
what we do.
Caroline, go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say I like the Snow Valley schools.
Is Marlboro
Snow
considered
Valley.
snow school?
No.
We're not part of this.
Snow Bell, maybe.
There is no
We're not
Snow
in the same
Valley.
valley even.
Does
We're
any-
not either, Wardsboro's not either, so.
Does anybody from the audience have another one? Stephen, go ahead, give
For
it.
entertainment, I offer, in honor of our soon-to-leave office president, we call it the DOWAMA Unified District,
That was
DOWAMA.
I think Gus proposed that.
We had that the other-
Actually, she
Yeah.
did have that.
Yeah.
God, was she had
Sounds
some?
like it's a little.
Gussie's my kind of.
Maybe
person.
Snow Valley should just be Snowy Valley Schools.
or you can't get there from here.
Connected by dirt roads?
I really like that. Okay, so I wanna throw the last one out. I wanna have the John Everett Memorial District. Listen to all his hard work, so he can tell his
I like
grandchildren.
the memorial part.
The John Everett School District. Okay, so we got how many up there? Okay, so you know what, board, are you guys okay with allowing everybody that's here to have a vote? Or do you wanna just reserve the vote for the board? Does anybody care?
Putting
Okay,
us on the
Steven
spot.
has
Yeah,
a-
we're all gonna-
Steven has a-
I do think that
Yeah,
identifying.
yeah, they won't.
wait,
right.
wait,
I
hold
do
on.
think identifying with 3 towns is important, and the only way you can get the 3 letters to work, unless somebody think of something bad about this, is DWM.
Pardon?
DWM.
Well, we have WMD, Weapons of Mass Destruction.
But Marlboro might not be a part of this.
I know, and we have Waste Management District, we have lots of other parts, and then we have a sports car, but I think this one doesn't ring to anybody now.
Well, the DMW, that sounds like the sports car.
No, he's,
I know, but he's saying,
DWM.
I know,
Okay.
but I'm saying,
Yeah,
okay.
DMW does sound like sports.
DMW.
Well,
Did you
but you
write-
wanna go fast.
Did you wanna write Stevens down?
DW.
No,
No.
DWM.
DWM.
It has a ring.
Okay, so listen, how many we got, Matt?
I said it's
8?
Seventh Avenue.
8, we got way too many. Okay, who all wants to see, let's vote for your top, you get 2 votes, let's vote for your top 2. Okay, 3 shining stars.
You know, Rich, let me point something out, that several of those assume that Marlboro will be part of this, so,
There you go.
we
So
maybe
who
should
sings at
eliminate
any of
those,
them?
or we can all
That's
change it
probably
afterwards or
DWM.
whatever.
Can we ask for a change in their name when it's all done?
They're pretty serious about it.
They are pretty, there's a moment in time when you can probably ask for a change.
Like on the how many day when they're still on?
Certainly, very soon thereafter, because
Okay.
the vote gets.
You know what,
You
Dan,
best not
let's
do that.
hope, we all work really well together, let's just hope that we continue that, so, let's just
Well,
move forward. If you
can I
can
just-
show in your vote if you don't think it should be that way.
Right.
How's that?
So everyone gets to raise
well,
their
can I
hand twice?
just
Yeah.
add to Dan, I mean, you say Marlboro all the time, but it's, I mean, we're all under the assumption that any one of the towns could
Yeah,
vote no.
right.
Yeah, but it
Right.
doesn't matter, cause if Dover or Wilmington vote, or Dover or Wardsboro vote no, it's all done, it doesn't matter what
No,
anybody
keep
else
track.
votes. It just takes one of us to say no.
Right.
It could still happen without Marlboro.
No, I know, but I'm just
Yeah.
saying that like, it's not just,
Right.
it's,
Right.
it's
And
all
none of
3
these,
of us.
Yeah,
sorry,
maybe,
We're all in this
question.
together.
Okay, hang on, Stephen.
I urge the board to try to be inclusive of all 3 towns and assume that's gonna be the case. You have to start from the positive. And I'm sure that the subsequent board, if it were only 2 towns, would then appeal to the state board of education to change the name. I mean, that's
Or you may
not,
want the kids to do it,
Nothing's-
you may
nothing's
want
in
the
stone.
kids to vote on it down the
And also
road.
because the Secretary of State registers the name and.
yeah,
because-
well, but, you know, it can be changed if that's what the voters
So-
say.
Let's
Do it
just,
online in 5 minutes.
yes, go ahead.
Are there any safeguards for not duplicating somebody else's name?
He'll let us know. That'll be one of the changes, so we'll pick a first choice and a second choice, how's that?
The agency will let us know.
Dan.
Along
Randy.
those-
Well, there already
along
is a
those
Green
lines.
Mountain Union,
Right,
so we might want to.
But let's see.
eliminate that.
Well, along those lines, I was gonna suggest we could Southern Vermont, any of those, maybe.
okay,
At the
well,
beginning
let's
of
see
it.
what we get,
Okay.
maybe nobody will
Alright.
like any of them.
All right.
Okay, you get 2 votes, it's just an honesty thing, but it will be on camera, and he's gonna scan you while your hand's up. So, all those that like the 3 shining stars, raise your hand. And hold it high so I know, so I only got 3 votes. Okay, 3 shining stars, 3 votes. The shining stars, raise your hands high. Cross it right off, it lost. What's the next one? River,
River Valley Unified School District.
raise your hands high. I actually have, Lucy, you voting for that? I have 4, 5, 6,
Which river?
7. 1, 2, 3, 4,
They all
5,
have,
6,
they each
7.
have their own.
7.
Yeah, wait, I'll vote for that one too.
8.
Revote.
No, it's 8.
Crowd.
Okay, what do we got next there?
Green Mountain Unified School District.
Raise your hand. Anybody? Cross it off, it's dead. Moving on.
EDU.
Anybody?
I don't get that one.
Cross it off.
Esoteric.
Snow Valley Schools. Mike, your hand up? 1, 2, 3,
Matt,
4,
you're not
5,
voting.
6, 7, 7. 7. Okay, what's your next one, Matt?
Delawama Unified.
We better get at least one hand
Sure.
on that.
Hey, Steven, is that called like a pirate idea?
Yeah.
Okay.
Dan, you didn't vote for anything.
So far, I haven't.
One. You get two votes.
You get 2 votes. That would be great if you had.
Okay, and then we got the famous DWM.
Would that be a unified school district at
Yeah.
the end of that?
That looks too close to.
Okay, so what are the two, hey, the two we have are the River Valley Unified School Districts and the Snow Valley Schools. Okay, so now you get one vote, and one vote only.
Dan, why aren't you voting on it?
No, this is good. Now I get the.
It's too many
Okay,
choices, get out.
so listen, when I tell you raise your hand, please hold
Yes or
your,
no?
please hold your hands high.
Just
You can
these two
vote if
right
you
here?
want, you've been through all the meetings.
Yeah.
Okay, number one.
So we're gonna race these other two? Rich?
Yeah, raise
Just the two?
erase everything, just the
Interesting
two,
process.
For you.
just the 7 and 8. Yes, Stephen?
I would suggest you make it
Yeah, we-
river valleys, because
I would agree
you've
with
got
that
three
too.
different
It's-
rivers going on.
It's three
That's
different
fine.
rivers, the
River
river valleys.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
Valleys.
Okay, so river valleys. So all those that
Lucas.
want to have Snow Valley schools, raise your hand and hold it high. 1, 2, 3. Wow, got less votes than last time. And all those that want the River Valley's schools, Unified School District, raise your hands. Okay. The board, it's even on the board. Yay, you guys named the school.
Yeah, but we have the alternate, so we have both. of them.
Right, and the alternate is the Snow Valley.
I go protest, not my school district.
Okay, hang on, because we got lots more to do, folks, so everybody needs to pay attention.
And I like your name best too, Chip.
Dan, I need a motion to authorize the officers to make final adjustments if required. Will you make that motion?
Yes, yeah,
Okay.
whatever you said.
I'll second.
So I need Dan made a motion to authorize officers to make minor final adjustments if required.
Okay.
Dan moved it,
I'll
Randy seconded. Is there any discussion? And everybody will be notified if there are any changes, and John will get me, and I'll get the two other officers, Selena and Dwight. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Update on the Leland Greytown studies, you kind of gave us that they're shooting to have a meeting on Monday. Next and future meetings, we have December 8th, 2017, it's in Wardsboro. And I think at that meeting, we need to be prepared to start getting ready. We're gonna have to think about how we're gonna do our public meetings.
Yes,
Um,
December 8th.
December 8th should be a Thursday.
Thursday,
Yep.
second Thursday.
December 8th.
Yes.
8th.
8.
We got
Okay.
2017 on here, but it's like 16.
Yeah, I was really
That's a good
like looking
idea.
ahead, Randy. I was hoping there's a big thing happening on December 8th. Pardon? In Wardsboro, sir, with the camera, it's Wardsboro, he's punching it in now. So that's the really important one where we're gonna have to start discussing how we get this out and how we explain it and where we wanna have meetings, and we can also take, any input we get from the public, but it's gonna be, that's the agenda. The other thing I really need is everybody to thank, John. John, you did a great job leading us through this, so I really. Are you going to the following meetings, or are you done?
I should only come when there's something you really want me for.
Okay, so we'll be able to handle the rest, but you'll have to start working on the ballot,
Yeah.
and then we'll
I already have a
approve.
draft of that, so.
Okay.
At that meeting, can we get an update on how much money we spent with John and Anita
We're
and
real close
everybody
with
else?
John. You said we're pretty
I'm
good.
very on target. This month has been a little less, last month was a little more because we made the brochure. So it's exactly as I expected.
Okay, just because we need to know how much we're gonna have that we can spend moving forward on other
Right.
things.
Okay, so we'll definitely get a financial from Bill. Do you know how they're billing us? Do they bill us monthly, or do they bill us?
I
every
think
month?
they bill monthly, but I'm.
Okay, so Bill will probably have that, or I can call Lori. Okay,
So
Any-
I have one thing.
Yeah.
I want to know, I'm gonna go home and update the homepage on the blog site. What do you want me to put as the public comment period?
no, it's just, there's no period,
Just
just
open.
while we're
Because the
having meetings.
feedback tab is
Right.
still there. Feedback is always open.
I think feedback is great, because a lot of, your feedback was comments too, that really helped us explain things, and I think that's what we're gonna get. And then, people are gonna be a little confused or not understand something, and we can
Right,
work
so
on.
I will write an opening sentence that says, this is the articles as voted on. Comments are more than welcome, continue. Okay, got it.
Or even encouraged to help us know how to explain this So everyone understands.
Comments and questions.
Yes, nice.
Yep, that's what it says, comments.
Perfect.
And I really appreciate y'all coming. So I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
Make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Lucy seconded, I know everybody's in favor. Okay.
Good job, everybody.
Thank you. So the agenda's gonna be really easy, it's just gonna be,